Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, June 18, a regular City Council meeting. Call the meeting in order. Madam Clerk, may I have roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano.
Here.
Councilmember Papineau. Councilmember Farmer. Here. Councilmember Vandenberg.
Here.
Mayor Sandu.
Here. Please join me for silent prayer and flag salute. Thank you. Madam Clerk, may I have a replay statement?
This meeting of the Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed caption at webcast at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Friday, June 21st at 9 a.m. and Saturday, June 22nd at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14.
Thank you. Move to the next agenda item B, agenda approval addition or deletion. Council, anything approval addition or addition? None. Moving to the next agenda item C, presentation. Our first presentation subject, Galt Youth Commission, student membership appointment and administering the oath of the office. Agenda report, Ms. Hubert.
So the recommendation is to accept the student member appointment selected by the Galt Youth Commission adult mentors and administer the oath of office. Per Galt Municipal Code Section 2.85.050, student members shall be interviewed by the adult mentors of the commission. Each student member shall be submitted for acceptance by the City Council and shall serve for a 2-year term commencing on June 1 and ending on May 31st. At the June 4th, 2024 City Council meeting, City Council adopted Ordinance 2024-03, allowing 12 voting youth commissioners instead of 10. Youth Commissioners Caitlin Kohlers and Caitlin Camacho will start their term July 4th, 2024, after the recently adopted ordinance becomes effective. The other youth members selected by the adult mentors are Elise Fuel, Ginger Myrick Smith, Daniel Oliveros Rivera, Abigail Woods, Karina Lillian, and Lynn Smith. So if you all want to come up and so we can administer your oath of office.
Please come to the front.
Okay, go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution
State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and during such time
and during such time
as I am a student member
as I am a student member
of the Galt Youth Commission,
of the Galt Youth Commission,
I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of commission member
of Commission Member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Okay, you're official.
Thank you for the congratulations, everybody, for all the new youth commissioner. You are the future, our city, you are the future of all. So any council member want to make any comment?
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to all of you. I serve on the youth commission, so it's exciting to have a whole new group of young adults. I'm going to miss some of the older ones though, and I wish you guys well and your endeavors. Those of you just took this oath, the whole part about defending, against enemies and all that. Well, that's serious. We're going to talk about that later. Anyways, but congratulations. I look forward to working with you guys.
Congratulations as well, and good job on expanding the size of the commission. More the merrier. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can move to the next agenda item, C2, Galt Youth Commission Annual Report to the City Council. I believe Ms. Lampson, or who is going to give us a report? All right, come to the podium, please. Thank you.
Yeah, it'll kick on in a minute. And the clicker's up there too.
We're with the Galt Youth Commission, and tonight we'll be presenting the highlights of our 2023 to 2024 year. Okay. So the Galt Youth Commission was filled by these roles this year. We had Joshua Kohlers as chair, myself as vice chair, Alexia Bulihan as secretary, Kason Jones as treasurer, Alexis Ortega as publicity chair, Karina Lalian as fundraising chair, Mikey Brixey, sergeant of arms, Gabrielle Akers, council liaison, Annalise Bowman as a commissioner, and Navkiran Sandhu as commissioner.
Now, as shown on screen, our purpose is clearly indicated in our ordinance, but to boil it down, our mission comes down to engaging the youth and getting them to take an active role in the betterment of their community. Now, this year we put a special emphasis on developing our leadership and public speaking skills to be able to better form connections and relationships with community members, organizations, businesses, etc., in order to achieve our goals and get the youth involved. One of the projects we continued this year was the Adopt a Street project, where we focused our efforts on Lincoln Way with the help of the beautification committee to keep our streets clean. However, this year we also expanded to the area around Cafe Latte to better, extend our scope to better keep Galt clean. Some other community events that we participated in are the Kevin Todd Memorial Run, where us commissioners served as guides and directors for the runners along the route, as well as National Night Out, where we visited the various venues in order to strengthen those community ties and get the word out about us, and the Halloween Trick-or-Treat event in Old Town Galt, where again, we just wanted to strengthen those community ties and build those relationships with people out there in the community.
I guess one of the just finished up. At the lighting of the night parade, we personally served, so we walked with a banner and we also threw out candy, which was a great way to connect with the community and all the youth that are there. Or at the Old Town Galt Festival, we actually got the privilege of helping to set up, and we helped all around. We helped with really if anyone needed anything, we helped with that. And at the A to C Foundation dinner, we helped serve, so we served at the VIP tables, we served just around, and we helped out with anything that anyone needed. And then for Random Acts of Kindness Week, we gave letters to the police officer and fire department in areas, so they would know how much we appreciated them, and as well as giving letters to the councils themselves, you guys, as just so you know how much that we appreciate how much you just like guide us. And at the Senior Tech Project, we tried to help seniors with technology problems, but unfortunately no one showed up. So this really helped teach us about how announcements. So we decided in the future to do more paper flyers.
Just to add another. You're good. So I just wanted to add for the Random Acts of Kindness Week project. That was primarily headed by Commissioner Jones. And one of the bigger things that we worked on for this project that took a little bit more planning and more centering the community was we planned 2 special ed luncheons with both schools, Liberty Ranch and Galt High. And that was really a heartwarming experience because we got to make new friends at both schools, not just the schools that we attended. And I just wanted to give a little bit more light to that. Thank you. Okay, so it's really important for us to build connections with our team because that's how we get the most efficient collaboration. So every year we try to plan a little activity outside the Galt Youth Commission that doesn't really relate to any political ideas or events or anything, just for us to have fun, let go, let loose a little bit. So this year we participated in the Quarry Park Adventures, which consisted of rock climbing, zip lining, ropes courses. It was really exciting but really nerve-wracking. And I think the best part about that was each scary aspect of each activity that we did really helped us get more comfortable with each other as we helped each other get through these, again, scary obstacles.
So usually we only give out 2 $500 scholarships, but luckily this year, due to our fundraising efforts, we were able to give out 2 $1,000 scholarships and 2 $500 scholarships. So the 2 $1,000 scholarships went to Alexa Muriel Cuevas and Kason Jones, and then the 2 $500 scholarships went to Akela Joy Gunter and Isabella Kunze. So very proud of them. And as seen on the screen, these are really what we've worked on throughout our time in the commission. So we've worked on leadership, really just like stepping up to positions, actually creating events ourselves that people will go to, who just personal strengths. So just like maybe you're more shy about speaking. So we've helped our commissioners help with that, or we've helped our commissioners improve on their leadership skills. And then team building, we've really learned how to speak with each other and interact with each other with maybe like varying ideas. And then responsibility, we have to be responsible to actually go out and decide to do this event and then show up to the event and buy all the food and etc.
I believe I speak for all of us commissioners when I say we've had a great time this year, not only getting to know one another and getting to go out in the community, but taking part in learning those invaluable skills that only the commission could give us. We'd like to thank our wonderful adult mentors for continually pouring into us, those being council members Jay Vandenberg and Sean Farmer, our wonderful adult mentors Paige Lamson, Jessica Gerzen, Alan King, and Sharon Feldstad, and of course the community organizations and donors for which, without their help, we wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the activities that we did, those being the Beautification Committee, the A to Z Foundation, Coffee Shop Bakery, L'Haim, Cowwaste, Galt Sunrise Rotary, and many, many more that we could not list here, but we appreciate nonetheless. Now we want to wish our outgoing commissioners the best of luck in their future and thank them for all that they've done for the city and the commission, those being Alexa Maria Cuevas, myself, Kason Jones, Alexia Boulahan, and Mikey Brixey. We'd like to extend the most heartfelt welcome and the best of luck to all our incoming commissioners, those being Caitlin Camacho, Caitlin Cullors, Elise Fuel, Abigail Woods, Daniel Oliveros Rivera, Lindsay Smith, and Ginger Smith. And of course, we want to again wish luck to all the returning commissioners as they continue to make an impact on this city and to train the next generation of commissioners, those being Alexis Ortega, Annalise Bowman, Gabrielle Akers, Karina Lalian, and Nefkiran Sandhu.
All right, thank you for listening. Now we open the floor to any questions.
Thank you. Council member, any? Yeah, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Yes, I don't have any questions. I just want to congratulate you all on the work that you do and continue to do in our community. This presentation every year that comes to council gets better and better. And so whatever the adult mentors are doing to help you with that, in terms of leadership and public speaking, you're doing a great job. Welcome to the new commissioners. I'm sure you'll have a great time. As you've seen, they do some exciting things and really put effort into the community, and so it's very appreciated. And I want to thank the adult mentors. I think there's 4 in the room today. 5? 3? Okay. So anyhow, thank you for what you do and the time you spend with our youth. It's really paying off. And again, this is my, I think, 6th presentation that I've seen from the Youth Commission. And like I said, it gets better and better every year. So thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman Bannon.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say, having been involved with the Youth Commission in the previous year and then having a gap, it's nice to see the clear jump you've made in public speaking, projecting yourself properly, speaking well. It's a great improvement, and it's a clear sign that the efforts you put in work quite well. Thank you.
Yeah, just echoing what everybody's already been saying. It's been a pleasure working with you guys. I'm going to miss some of you very much. Thinking back about all the events we did, some of the parades we participated in, the cleanups, although I don't get to participate in those as much as I used to. I appreciate all that you guys do, being, role models to your peers. I think it's so important that people of your age, your generation, are showing people that being involved in city and community can be beneficial, because I think a lot of people are just disenchanted with, city government and politics and all that, so they just don't want to be involved. So I appreciate you, trying to get your peers interested in this and trying to show them how much fun and how much how fun it could be. And I know all of you will go on to do successful things. And again, welcome the new people. Thank you to the adult mentors, Alan, Paige, and Jessica, for what you guys do. It's a lot of work, and but being a role model too for these guys. So look forward to working with you guys the rest of the year. So again, congrats. Thank you.
Thank you. Same thing, my colleagues, Vice Mayor Lozano already, say whatever I want to say. So I'm not going to repeat. Thank you for all the outgoing commissioner, and welcome all the new commissioner. And you guys are the leader for, and I also like to thank you for all the mentor. They trained you, and I seen you guys everywhere. Any community events, you guys out there. Again, thank you for your service.
Alrighty, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next agenda item is C3. Subject, measure Citizen Oversight Committee Fiscal Year 2022-2023 Annual Report. Chief Kalinowski.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would ask that Mr. Paul Harvey, who is the chair of the Measure R committee, come forward. And had we known that they were going to have such a spectacular report for the Youth Commission's annual report, we would have dolled ours up a little bit. But it's numbers, and so with Matt here, you know how numbers are sometimes, right? So we'll do our best.
I was going to say they did such a good job, they could do mine maybe.
You're right, yeah.
Council members, city staff, and members of the public and others. My name is Paul Harvey, as Brian said, and I'm chairman of the Major R Citizens Oversight Committee. And on behalf of the committee, as well as Marcia Mooney and Mr. Brosman, I'm pleased to present the fiscal year 2022-2023 annual report. As you are aware, the committee's role is to review expenditures of Major R revenues to ensure that the use of these revenues comply with the intended use. And currently, for our committee, we're at 3 members. We to resign at the last meeting, so I know we're trying to recruit more. So, Measure R is a November 2008 voter-approved half-cent sales tax rate increase to fund public safety services within the city. This special use tax was intended for improving safety services specifically related to anti-gang, anti-drug, and public safety services, police services. While attending and participating in our quarterly meetings, I continue to be impressed with the professionalism and dedication of our police chief, Brian Kalinowski, our finance director, Matthew Boring, and administrative assistant, Wendy Masters. Thank you. Our committee, of which I am a member, is comprised of 5 Galt citizens, and we meet approximately every 3 months to review the financial reports containing actual budgeted and revised budgets related to the revenues, expenditures, capital expenditures, and such during the fiscal year. If you've never sat through these meetings, you're missing a lot of excitement. Ordinance 2008-04 provides program guidelines for Measure R, including directing the city to provide an independent audit by a certified public accounting firm. This audit is not a task the committee undertakes, and we rely on the Galt Police Department, the Galt Finance Department, and the independence of the CPA firm to ensure the city is presenting fairly its revenue and expenses within its financial statements and the financial statements related to Measure R. The audited financial statements are included in the financial report, which I think is in the agenda. The fiscal year 2022-2023 Measure R Accountability Report was reviewed and approved by the committee on April 24th of this year during our regular quarterly meeting with all members present. For the fiscal year 2022-2023, the reported revenue was $2,382,928, and it's 11% lower than budgeted revenue, primarily due to lower fuel prices than expected during part of the year. And during that fiscal year, expenditures were reported as $2,337,486. Personnel costs make up 80% of the expenditures, with the remaining money spent on operations and equipment. The fund balance increased during the year by $49,142, resulting in an ending balance of $1,934,544. The increased balance is primarily due to less capital equipment expenditures due to some delays in supply chain issues and acceptance of equipment on order. The plan is to reduce the fund balance as needs dictate, and the financial reports are included in the attachments to the annual report. Committee members confirm that proper stewardship was maintained over these funds in accordance with the Measure R sales tax ordinance. Thank you for the opportunity to present this information on behalf of the Measure R Committee. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Give us a detailed report on this one. You know, I joined the meeting last time, then the quarter, so I have already questioned what I'm going to ask my colleagues if they have any question on this report. Anybody?
No, just thank you for serving.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Harvey, and appreciate your service and certainly your service as chair. And I want to thank the police department and finance department for all you do to ensure that our public revenues and taxes are spent appropriately. And it sounds like we'll be on the recruiting trail here in the next couple months to get you some help. And so I know that's a priority for us, and we'll certainly make sure that we do that. So thank you.
If we can get 3 there, then we have a quorum. So.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Harvey, I just want to say thanks for serving. I know that we've struggled with keeping some people on the Measure R, actually some of the other committees as well. It's just always, people are so busy and they don't want to find the time, but I do appreciate you and Mr. Brossman, and who's the third member currently? Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I mean, it's a really important, I mean, when these tax measures get passed, like we just passed the Measure Q, Measure R was really the first one that we did. You know, these are very big deals to the community. And a lot of what's funny is one of the things you always hear about is, well, what are we going to do with that money? Like, what's going to be due? And there's always this this I don't know what the word suspicion, but the community's always questioning is the money going to be used appropriately? And that's always the hang up with these types of things. Are they going to squander that money? Is this money really needed? So on and so forth. But when it comes to like Measure R, which is a very special, thing where we have an oversight committee, 25,000 people in the city of Galt, and only 3 of you are even interested in being part of an oversight to make sure that that money's being spent appropriately. So it is frustrating, right? But I do appreciate you guys doing it, and hopefully we can get some help to you soon.
1 hour every 3 months. That's all it takes, so thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Next agenda item D, public comments.
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the city council on non-agenda items. The public comment section is for the city council to receive comments. Except for brief responses to questions, no discussion or action may be taken on any item that is not listed on the agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Consistent with the city council procedural guidelines, the mayor reserves the right to shorten the time limit for speakers to ensure the efficient and timely completion of all city business on the agenda. We have Tish Espinoza.
Good evening, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you. I'm here as a stakeholder, and I live in GID, which is just outside of the boundaries of the city limits here. And we participate in the Cosumnes Groundwater Authority, the JPA, and I was just wondering how you guys are going to continue participating in that board with the Cosumnes Groundwater Authority. Because it seems like we don't have a consistent representation there by the city council or anybody within the city, and we are being assessed a fee now out anybody using a groundwater well, and we've been asking for 2 years now for some response on why all the properties, your ag res and agriculture properties within the city limits are not being assessed those same fees when the rest of us are having to within the Cosumnes Groundwater Authority. And I keep watching the paper, and everybody else is holding their hearings this next month to assess those new fees on the rest of us. And we still have no answer from the city as to why, you feel that all your parcels on groundwater wells, and there are a lot of them out on the outskirts, are exempt from paying that fee. And then, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. If you don't mind, what's your address?
My address?
Yes.
I'm out on Ivy Road in Herald, 12960.
Okay, and I will ask Council Member Berenberg if he can make a comment on the situation representation. Well, we do have representation in this city.
We can't have a conversation about this, but I will get back to you.
Yes. All right, thank you. And then next agenda item is E, report by City Council member on regional board, commission, and committees. Vice Mayor Lozano.
Yes, I will be as brief as possible. I attended SACOG Land Use and Natural Resource Committee meeting on the 6th, and we discussed our blueprint. The bulk of the conversation at the meeting had to do with housing allocation, and so we forwarded a plan to the general board that's going to meet this Thursday in Yuba City, and we're going to present it and have the board vote on it. I will say that Supervisor Hume, who is on that SACOG board as well, brought forward some language to be considered, and it appears that the bulk of the committee wanted to have that taken up separately, and so we'll continue to work with Supervisor Hume in his office, as well as the rest of the committee, to ensure that some of the good ideas that came out of that get moved forward. I attended the Sacramento Valley Division Board meeting of Cal Cities on Monday by Zoom, and we talked about a lot of things. There's a lot of legislative advocacy that's going on right now related to local control and things of that nature down at the Capitol. So that was an update from the Cal Cities Board. And then I just want to mention that on July 19th in Elk Grove at District 56 Veterans Hall, there is going to be the membership meeting for all of the members of Cal Cities in this area. The topic is going to be police recruitment and retention, and they're going to have some staff from Elk Grove PD and Reading Police Department talk about that. Also going to have division elections and any additional topics the board members bring up. The last thing I want to mention is that, again, there's going to be a board meeting, SACOG board meeting, and a Cal Cities Revenue and Taxation meeting this Thursday by Zoom, and I will attend both of those. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Farmer.
Last Monday, the 10th, I attended the Galt Youth Commission meeting in this chambers. We welcomed some of our new mentors. We discussed some of upcoming activities we're going to be doing, one of which is a senior game day. So the idea is to get the Youth Commission and also partnering with the Teen Center to have some of our young youth have a game night with seniors in the community. We're trying to work with the Grange Hall to, they've been generous enough to offer that free of charge. We're just trying to pin down a date. And we just look at it as a way to have our elderly community and our young kind of, have a fun night together where they could learn from each other. I think that they would both benefit from that experience. So we're working on that. And we talked about the Youth Commission participating in the 4th of July parade. So we're working on details with that so they can have some representation on that. And I forget what else. I think that was the things I remember the most. So it was a good meeting. And I think that's all I had since last we met. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Benenberg.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Myself, I have nothing to report tonight. Next agenda item is F. Information consent calendar. It is recommended that item 1 through 9 be acted on the simultaneously unless a separate discussion and action is requested by a council member. Any council member want to pull any item or have any comment on any?
I have a request. I would like to pull F8 and actually discuss it after item G1, so we could discuss the budget before we add or subtract from it. And there's not a problem with that, Frank, or Mr. Splendario?
You can place it in the order you want, just you need council consensus to place it at that point.
Okay, so then I would be looking for council consensus to place item F8 in position G2 so that we could discuss that item after discussing the budget.
I think, I just have one clarification, Councilman Vandenberg. So G1, we're actually going to approve the budget. So if we approve the budget prior to discussing the things, and those things would be approved already before we discussed them, would it not?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, but I guess my concern is that we're just blanketly not discussing item F8, even though it affects our budget.
That's why I'm saying maybe we should.
So we can combine it? Because he makes a fair point.
I would discuss it right ahead of the budget, make it the last thing, right before the budget.
Okay,
And then you can go right into the budget after that.
we'll make it G0.
Sure. Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to pull items 7 and 9.
F7?
F7 and F9. I have a question on F7 and F9. I would like to have a separate vote on that.
Okay, so you want to pull both of items?
Yes, please.
All right, no problem. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you read that item 1 through 6 on the consent calendar?
Receive and file warrants for period June 5th, 2024, minutes of the regular meeting of June 4th, 2024, and special meeting of June 11th, 2024, cancellation of the August 6th, 2024 City Council meeting, treasurer's report for period ending May 2024, levy of the special tax for Community Facilities District 2020-1 for fiscal year 24-25, and Fifth Amendment with the City of Elk Grove for disposal of household hazardous waste.
Thank you. Any public comment on that agenda item 1 through 6 on the consent calendar?
No.
So move to items 1 through 6 as read.
Second.
Okay, moved by Council Member Vandenberg and second by Vice Mayor Lozano. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano?
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer?
Aye.
Councilmember Vandenberg?
Aye.
Mayor Sandu?
Aye. Motion passes by 4-0. Next agenda item is F7. Carillion D Well Project CIP 521A Engineering Service Contract Award, CEQA Initial Study Mitigated Negative Declaration. And I believe John Griffin?
I did have some questions about it.
All right, go ahead.
And I normally ask staff ahead of time, and I did, and I appreciate, John, you providing a response. My question is this, and it's it appears to be a little timely in that our public comment had to do with the Cosumnes Groundwater Authority, and that was my question. So we participate in that JPA. We have, in fact, last meeting, we just appointed Mr. Griffin as the alternate to that board. My question is this: we participate at whatever level we do in terms of funding. How is it that we are able to consider drilling a well? And I think the question I asked you was, we have residents that are still within that JPA that may not live in the city limits, or they may, that would have to pay a premium to do what we're doing. And so I've talked to board members from the Galt Irrigation District, not recently, but in the past, about what that looks like. And so could you kind of walk us through that so I can feel a little more comfortable about where we're going?
So to make sure I understand correctly, walk through our contribution to the Cosumnes Groundwater Authority and a bit more about the project in general?
Yes, and my understanding is, and I may be totally wrong, and so that's why I'm asking, is my understanding is if somebody else that lives in that Joint Powers Authority region or area wants to do improvements to water well or anything like that, and furthermore is being asked to pay more money for the amount of water they use, how is it that a government agency such as us can do that, and what other costs is it going to be to the authority? Does that make sense?
I think so. I'm going to try to answer it, and if something's not clear, let me know. The project before you tonight is intended, or it will be replacing an existing well. So we're actually not expanding any capacity on our water system. And we do contribute on an annual basis to the overall budget of the Cosumnes Groundwater Authority. Last year, City Council authorized a payment of $33,438, which was our fair share of the 23-24 fiscal year budget for the Groundwater Authority, and that was at the November 21st meeting. So
And
that's our
identified
portion.
That's identified by the JPA board
Correct.
as what our fair share is, understood.
Yes.
In the staff report, it talks about drilling further down to try to, into the aquifer to get past the arsenic and all that.
Yes.
Is that different than what we currently have?
So the current well at the Carillion site is more of a shallow well. When I say shallow, it's 900 feet more or less. All of the current practice is to construct deep wells down to, and I think the staff report gave a depth, and for the moment it's escaping me, it's 1,600 feet
Yes.
deep is what we drill our new wells to. And it's not to increase capacity, but it's to allow us to avoid treating for arsenic. When we look at a cost-benefit analysis, it is actually less expensive to the city and the citizens to spend a bit more capital cost and drilling a deeper well versus the ongoing operation and maintenance costs of running an arsenic treatment process at our facility.
Understood. So the 33,000, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I need the understanding. I think in our communication, you mentioned that was an increase over a previous year, or has it been the same throughout the time?
If I said that I misspoke, I'd have to research what our
Okay.
prior contributions were.
Okay, all right. That's all the questions I have. I'd like to see what other discussion may.
Anybody else have any comment
Yeah,
on
I'll
this?
just, based on Councilman Lozano's questions, so just to clarify, it does mean with a new deeper well, to try to get past a level where there's more arsenic, doesn't mean we don't still test. We just test more or less frequently? Or,
So with the contract we're awarding tonight, first of all, it's, I need to also bring up a bit of the CEQA process too. The action tonight is exempt from CEQA under the Class 6 exemption set forth in the state guidelines because it applies to basic data collection research. And also because the city's not taking action to fund, approve, or commit to the actual construction of the deep well project. I needed to mention that as well, and I forgot to. Having said that, could you repeat your question one more
my
time?
question was, you said that by digging a deeper well, typically the reason we do that is so that we don't have to have an arsenic filtration system or whatever treatment system. So my question is, I mean, we obviously still test our groundwater frequently, so the testing would remain the same. We just don't have to have the ongoing filtration mechanism in place, or we would just test less frequently because we're deeper. Could you just elaborate?
We would, there'd be a two-step approach. First of all, the scope of work we would construct a test well to test the actual groundwater quality of a well to be placed there. And should that indicate low levels of arsenic, as we assume, future phase would be to construct an actual well. Once a system is online, we would then test at the same frequency that we currently test for arsenic at that well site, just to verify and comply with all state regulations for our water supply.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council member, any comment? Any public comment on
Yes.
this agenda item?
We have two public comments. Tish Espinoza.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you again for allowing me to address the board. Again, like I said, I do live in the area where this deep well will influence our groundwater. You are going to be taking this twice the depth, almost 1,600 feet, pumping 2,000 gallons a minute. Your well on Industrial says that it has a drawdown of 58 feet. And when that thing's running constantly, that 58-foot drawdown is going to affect a lot of us out there on shallow wells. And again, there was no notice to our Cosumnes groundwater basin that this well was going in deeper, that it was going to be extended to twice the depth almost, 1,600 feet around. And you know what, to the $33,000 that might be given to us this next year, that's not what we've collected for the last 3 years. We've gotten $20,000, and that still does not compensate for those of us that live in the country just outside the county line that are paying $10 per irrigated acre. And you have irrigated land that is on groundwater wells within the city limits that has not been addressed for the last 3 years. So I'm just saying, you know, when you guys are going to put in another deep well, that's going to affect us all without anybody coming to us and letting us know at the basin level. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
Lindsay Carter.
Good evening. I'm Lindsay Carter. I'm the chair of Consumidus Groundwater Authority for this year. And I wanted to, just come before you today to really say this is the first we heard of this project at all, was seeing it on the agenda. So that was our first concern. I'm here representing the Groundwater Authority, but not on behalf of the authority because we have not had a chance to even meet to discuss this project to either form concerned positions, support, opposition, or what have you. So the first thing I'd request is that this project and those like it come before the Groundwater Authority to be able to talk about it. CGA was developed as a result of SGMA that was passed by the legislature in 2014. In this Consumidus subbasin, south of the Consumidus River, we have 7 member groundwater sustainability agencies. City of Galt is one of those GSA members. We collectively work together on our groundwater sustainability plan to manage the groundwater resources here in this subbasin. We have a 10,000 acre foot deficit that we are trying to overcome basin-wide. So a project like this raises alarm bells for those of us trying to preserve every drop, and especially for stakeholders outside the city limits that are being scrutinized for any domestic well, any ag well, or anything that goes in, and all of their water usage, and trying to conserve every drop they possibly can. So right now it's just a lot of questions and concerns on what this is, how it's going to affect. I did talk with John today, looking forward to continuing that conversation, learning more about the project. Also would like to take this project before our technical advisors, EKI Environmental, who not only prepared our groundwater sustainability plan, but also are working on our 5-year update that's due in 2027, and work in making sure that if this is going to impact our groundwater resources, we can pull that into that modeling so that we can be able to adequately address for that and look at that. I mean, right now we're looking at cropping patterns in, the more rural, unincorporated areas. We're looking at changes of what happens when you go from pasture to vineyard irrigation to tree irrigation to be able to model down to the drop of where our water resources are going. And so, while I understand this is a replacement well, it is going considerably deeper. To answer a couple questions that council members had, the reason that you're looking at lower, it's not you're less testing for arsenic, water's cleaner 1,600 feet down, so you're not going to have to clean it as much, which is where the resources savings is going to come to the city. So you'll still test as often, but to be able to treat, it's going to be cleaner water that you're tapping into at that lower depth. Where this becomes a big concern, though, is we have a huge cone of depression that funnels all the way out through that Galt Herald area. So where this well would be placed is a concern because of how it could potentially impact that cone of depression, which is being very heavily scrutinized by the Department of Water Resources. So again, right now, we're just very concerned, a lot of questions, and because this is the first time hearing about it, it's just setting off some alarm bells on what this possibly could put into the future, where this possibly could affect our modeling, and if it will, and it may not. We can't say that it will for certain, but again, just raising questions. So at the very least, would like to see a presentation, a discussion at the next Consumidus Groundwater Authority meeting, and then an opportunity for our consultants and technical advisors to dig in, and if they need to incorporate this into our 5-year plan, we need to know that now so that we can make sure that we update their scope of work and their issues to be able to adequately address that, or we're going to get questions from DWR, and we do not want to see that 5-year plan fail and have the state come in and take over managing our resources, which will affect every ratepayer regardless of where they're at within the basin. So definite just questions and concerns right now, and would like to expand the conversation because it is a bigger issue than just one well going in for one area of the city. Thank you.
Thank you,
I have a
Lance.
question, if you may be able to help answer this. If any resident in the groundwater authority has a maintenance issue with their well, they're required to go through processes that qualify, yes or no, you can repair and/or keep this well, correct?
Correct. There's an executive order.
Yeah, that's okay. I just want to get to that point so the public understands.
Right.
Why is the city exempt from that? It appears that that's what this would allow us to do.
I'm not sure that the city's necessarily.
I'm not necessarily asking you, but
Okay.
that's my general question, you know. So I'm glad that everybody brought this up. At this point, I think it's fair that we do bring a presentation to the Groundwater Authority, and I would support a no vote.
I just have a quick question too. We're not supposed to actually discuss that,
Right.
other than brief questions. So just looking for a brief answer from you. So if I'm understanding this correctly, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around my knowledge, my limited knowledge of how all this works. So the difference between the well that we have and going deeper is that we actually would be tapping into a different aquifer.
You're deeper into the aquifer.
Right. So then that aquifer would not be affecting the same people that the aquifer that we're currently tapped into is, right? So we're going to a different level. We're different supply of water, and that you're concerned about the effects of that in the greater area.
Yeah, all feeds into the same chain.
No
DWR's
one-
not looking at the different, they're looking at the total groundwater resources of all aquifer resources. So just deeper, shallower, it's the same. It kind of plays into the entire balancing act of domestic wells, ag wells that are looking at the 250, 300, 400 feet range.
Yeah, and if I may, and we do have.
Excuse me, ma'am, because this is a public comment, and we are not going to discuss.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Thank you, council members, thank you. And the last question I'm gonna ask John. John, this is not a new well, this is the well we have already have the well, right? Just,
Yes, there's an existing well at the site that we would be replacing.
all right, thank you. Any other question?
I just have one question for Mr. Griffin. If this item is delayed, what does that do to the services that you provide and the citizens that receive water?
This project is roughly between the time we award a consultant contract to the time we bring the well online. It's roughly a 2-year window. We currently have, with this well offline, I think we have 3 wells operational. So if we were to lose another well within these next 2 years, I don't want to give doomsday scenario, but there's a strong likelihood we couldn't meet the water supply for our current citizens. Did that help? Or is there more information?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the recommendation for a services agreement with a company for $1.4 million, and then a contingency, and those services would be preliminary engineering and environmental and testing, correct?
Yes, that is correct. There would be no, with the exception of constructing a test well to run one-time samples, collect one-time samples and run aquifer testing for one small, 1 to 2 days in time, there would be no construction. The construction would come at a later date. And also this project is not solely replacing the existing well. We also would be constructing a new 1.5 million gallon storage reservoir on site. On the east side, there is open area that's planned for 2 future 1.5 million gallon storage reservoirs. And then the project also constructs some upgrades and modifications to the facility that's roughly 30 years old.
Thank you. City manager want to make a
Good
short.
evening, Mayor and Council. Chris Rice, interim city manager. And Mr. Griffin could correct me if I'm wrong, but technically this project doesn't commit us to the well. It's really more exploratory. So all those questions, I think, that were brought up by public comment will be answered really through that process. So there's a strong public process, especially with the CEQA component of the project, and it would include outreach to stakeholders. So this is very early in the project, and that's when it kicks off and starts going with the consultant, that's really when the public outreach and all the testing of the items mentioned really commence. So this doesn't, the action tonight doesn't commit us to building the well in the long term, because if it creates problems that were brought up by the public, essentially we would not be able to build the well. So,
Mr. Arias, I have a couple concerns. So one is, well, actually, first is a question. So, and I don't know who can answer this, but typically, it was mentioned in public comment by the young lady that was speaking, and I apologize, blanked on your name, but she mentioned that typically the members of the Groundwater Authority would typically bring this information. So is it typical for stakeholders in that organization? At what point do they typically go and say, hey, we have this? Is it usually before they do the test wells? On a regular basis, is that with the other, or is it after we do the test well, like you just mentioned, Mr.? I'm just trying to, what's the typical scenario?
I would think that, especially based on current information, that we're going to be presenting and seeking input from the authority prior to really commencing the drilling. So we could get feedback, but my hunch is, and again, Mr. Griffin could correct me if I'm wrong, that it's ultimately the testing of, going in and drilling and seeing what the water is, testing the impact or evaluating the impact of the well on the overall basin. All that will come about as part of this project, this early exploratory project.
Well, on one hand, I understand and I appreciate you giving us the scenario of whether or not, if something was to happen, if we don't start getting the ball rolling on this, on the exploratory part of this project, and if something were to happen in that window and could impact the water supply, because obviously we represent the citizens of Galt, and an impact to our water supply would be a grave issue. On the other hand, as representatives of Galt, I feel like we have a duty to, our colleagues on the Groundwater Authority. If we have them here saying, hey, we're concerned about this. Well, I think the common sense thing here just pops in my head is, so let me understand. So we're going to spend $1.4 million to pursue a test when we don't even know if we're going to run into resistance to this. So we're going to spend 1.4, and then what if this whole thing, when it goes to Groundwater Authority and we said, hey, we spent 1.4, we tested it, we think it's a good idea, so we want to now construct a well, and all of a sudden it just gets bogged up in a bunch of other stuff, and now we just wasted $1.4 million. That's my problem. I feel like it's a cart before the horse. I feel like if there's a way we could speedily, approach Groundwater Authority in the next meeting, whenever that is, and it's not far away, and we can kind of open that dialogue and see how that goes, then we could go ahead and proceed with this maybe in a month or two or however long, instead of just saying thank you, no thank you, and moving on. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Anyways, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think, I think what Mr. Arias is saying is that this project is the cart that we want to pull the information from to present to the board. If you can't, no one can say, yes, there is or is not water down there unless we drill the hole. There is not viable clean water or dirty water unless we drill the hole. My question, we're going to pull a well and drill it deeper? Or is it just in the same location?
It would be at the same site. We would, in the long term, abandon the existing well and drill a new well.
Okay, so no loss of service.
Yeah.
So I would like to add that, and Mr. Griffin, correct me if I'm wrong, that anything we do regarding wells and groundwater is going to have to be consistent with the local authorities, that we are not going to be able to, per state regulation, violate any agreement we have with local water authorities. So they will have to be incorporated into the ultimate decision on, the well.
Yeah, that is correct. It would also have to be consistent with our own groundwater sustainability plan as well.
I would suggest that, it would have been courteous of us to inform people. I would also say that if I owned a piece of property in the country and wanted to drill a well, they won't let me drill it before I go before the board. So in that respect, we are jumping the gun a pinch.
So I don't disagree. That would have been courteous, for us to, give them a heads up in advance, that this was coming and seek feedback. But you've got two new guys here working the program, so we missed that. I think John has already, Mr. Griffin has already committed to presenting to the board. We will commit to being a good team player with, the local agencies and work cooperatively with them.
So is it my understanding that, so what you're saying is it just, and I totally get, you're our interim manager, you're new, John, obviously you're just stepping in to fill this role in the absence of our old public works director. So what I'm understanding from you, Mr. Rice, is just saying that this is just an oversight, we didn't really realize that we should have probably given them the heads up. I mean, just because to have one of our colleagues from another agency come and raise a question, and the way it came off to me is that this is like a standard thing that they should be given the heads up. That's the way it came off to me, unless I read the whole comment wrong. I just don't know I don't understand what the harm is in just seeing what the dialogue is. I would feel, I'm just saying, this is just me. And honestly, I don't know that much about wells or anything. I'm just trying to, whatever. But I would feel way more comfortable saying yes, and let's go ahead with our test well, if I had someone from Consumers Groundwater Authority saying, that's great, we got open dialogue, we can continue that, you guys can go ahead and do your test, and that's fine, and then after you do your test, come to us, and and we'll kind of move forward from that point. If I had that, I would feel more comfortable, but without that, I don't feel like I could support this right at this moment. And again, I'm not the representation. I know Jay is, he probably knows way more about this than I do based on his experience.
Just my, thoughts on that. If we we have to start the project one way or the other. If we start the project, if there is something wrong, they can just CEQA, then we can stop that, and we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, but I also don't want to spend $1.4 million. I mean, you could say that's but it's it's taxpayer money no matter where it came from. I'm just alarmed. I'm just caught off guard by the whole, to be honest with you, I didn't think this topic was going to be, this subject, this item tonight was going to be something, and so now I'm just uneasy about it.
If this was delayed, sorry, go ahead, sir. No, you go ahead.
Just as a person that pulled it that didn't know that it was going to go down this rabbit hole, quite honestly.
Yes.
I just had a question about having a meeting long ago with a GID member. Let me ask this. Our next council meeting is July 16th. Is there a groundwater authority meeting in between time?
Let me try to answer that prior question a bit better. If we were to delay this to the next GSA meeting, which is August 7th, we would return August 20th or the first meeting in September with this contract. So what that would do is put this project back 2 to 3 months. Now, the dire message I gave, if we have a catastrophic failure of another well, that would be independent of delaying this project by 2 or 3 months.
So 2 months on a 2-year plus project?
Correct.
Again, I had no intention for it to go down this rabbit hole. I just, like I said, had just some previous knowledge of how this thing was an issue with the community. And I would be supportive of, I think, doing the right thing and going to the Groundwater Authority, GSA group, and saying, hey, here's what our plan is. We're going to move forward with testing, and part of that, and just doing an education piece, and then bringing it back on the second meeting in, I'm sorry, the only meeting we're going to have in August. Is that going to be a problem with our process in which we identified the consultant? I know this is a consultant we use quite a bit for this kind of stuff.
Date uncertain.
I wouldn't expect it to be an issue. We would need to check with Wood Rogers to make sure the team they proposed, because this proposal was back from April, that they've not committed that staff to another project. But knowing how the consultant industry works, they're going to tell us, we're going to make this work. So I wouldn't expect there to be an issue.
If the council, I mean, it's the council's wishes, we respect that. You know, we're certainly okay with continuing the item. You know, we can bring it back, date uncertain, to make sure that we get, you know, on an appropriate agenda for the Groundwater Authority. And so we support, you know, council's wishes in that regard.
So I would like to make a motion to move this agenda item in the next meeting as soon as possible. So that's why if we have any communication with them or meeting come or not, then we can bring him back.
Can
I second.
actually, before I vote, I just, could we add to that not only do we move the item, but can we request that a staff member, possibly Mr. Griffin or anybody else that would be experiencing this from the city, can go and be present at that meeting or Water Authority meeting? And if they don't already do that, do they do that already?
Yeah.
I mean, other than Mr. Vandenberg.
Yeah.
They always
The-
they alternate.
Yeah, and I'm sure Mr. Griffin would appear at this anyways. We will have a council member, and then Mr. Griffin's the alternate. But yes, that could be included in the motion. I just want to clarify the motion, though. The interim city manager was requesting for a date uncertain. I think the intent is as soon as possible, but just want to be clear, it may not necessarily be the next meeting, because it may be August or September, depending on how those meetings go with the GSA.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, it's moved by the mayor, second by the council member Vandenberg. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano?
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer?
Aye.
Councilmember Vandenberg?
Aye.
Mayor Sandu?
Aye. Motion moved by 4-0.
Good job, Rich.
I don't pull many, but when I do, it's.
All right, the next agenda item is F8, approval of new classification and salary ranges for information technology director, assistant special event manager, equipment mechanic supervisor, electrical technician, and salary schedule for unrepresented and professional, confidential, and unrepresented mid-management.
Excuse me, Mayor, I know that was a long break in between conversations, but I actually requested 8 to be before G, so could we skip to 9 before we do 8?
All right, so everybody's okay?
Yeah.
All right, so agenda item F9, City Council Public Benefit Funds.
Yeah, so I asked the item be pulled and voted on separately because I anticipate that it won't be a unanimous vote. I just want to make a couple comments, and I started to talk about this at our last meeting. The City Council Public Benefit Funds is certainly not, in my mind, an issue about the money or supporting local nonprofits. I do personally support local nonprofits in excess of the money that we're talking about annually out of my personal funds. But I do want to say that I think that it's bad policy right now. We have discretion as a council in the same manner in which we would be voting on these items to be distributed in the community. And we're probably going to be doing that tonight through our budget process. And so we already have that discretion. I think as a council member, the public benefit that we give for this money is important. I would like to see it in the general funds amount. And so that's the statement I wanted to make. And it has, again, I want to reiterate, has nothing to do with people, community-based organizations that are doing great work in our community and continue to. And I've been involved in many of them over time. And so I just wanted to make that statement and go from there.
Thank you. Any other council member want to make any statement?
I can appreciate my colleagues' concerns. I would say that this allows the city or the city council in some fashion to support groups that normally cannot be supported. So for that reason, I look forward to voting yes.
Thank you. Any public comment on this agenda item?
No public comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a comment too. Yeah, and I do appreciate, you know, the differences of opinion on, and the concerns raised on issues. You know, looking at the history of this item, Mayor Payne, Barbara Payne, was the one to originally pull this money from the council travel, a certain amount of money set aside for any council travel required, and earmarked 1,000 of that 3,000 to be used for this purpose. I think it's great because to me, it takes that third and makes it really more accessible to the community and not just for council purposes. So I think, you know, I have a lot of respect for Mrs. Payne. I believe her intent for this was great. Obviously, we took that away when we had some really tough decisions to make in 2018, and it made a lot of sense to be, you know, to go on the chopping block for that as one of the things that we were scaling back. I don't think we're in that situation right now, and I think that, you know, this is money that's going to make a huge difference. Even though it's a small, minuscule amount of money in our budget, it makes huge differences for the things that council, you know, tend to donate it for. So without further, I would just say that I support it, bring it back.
Thank you. All right, may I have a motion to approve that item number F9?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, it's moved by Council Member Farmer, second by Council Member Bedenberg. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano?
No.
Councilmember Farmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Vandenberg?
Yes.
Mayor Sandu?
Yes. Motion moved to 3-1. Thank you. And the no, come back to F8. So F8 subject, approval of new classification and salary range for information technology director, assistant, special event manager, equipment mechanic supervisor, electrical technician, and salary schedule for unrepresented and professional, confidential, and unrepresented mid-management. Council Member J. Berenberg.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I don't have any specific questions, but could I please ask staff to, for the public's consumption, review the additions to, review what additions this would make to our budget? It's, well,
Okay, so this item, the new classifications won't have an impact. That's just creating a new job classification, so that's not adding any new bodies. The only item in this agenda that would impact the budget would be the salary schedules for the unrepresented professional, confidential, and mid-management employees.
So the totals, I'll just, the totals we'll see in the next item is already accounted for and added in. This is already added into that total.
Correct. The addition for the salary schedules is included in the budget.
Okay. We're not really supposed to cross-talk, and I want to just continue about the next one.
It's okay to ask about the fiscal impact of any item and how that relates to the budget. That's true for any item, anytime.
Okay, so my biggest concern, you know, just on page 2 of 2, there's a 2 of 3, excuse me. There's a general fund revenue and general fund expenditures, and adding up the bottom totals for each, comparing, you know, our revenue in and revenue out, we would run a deficit of roughly $160,000. I had on a different picture, was it 23, 24, 25, and then the next cycle we would be $250,000. So that really raises a concern with me. I was under the impression, I'm not going to try and hold anybody to anything that they did not say, and I want to make that clear, but I was under the impression that the numbers may go over a little bit. In my mind, that was, $20,000, $30,000. No number was ever given to me. I want to also make that clear, but that's the impression I got. So when I read through this and I saw 160,000, that's 4 times what I anticipated, and to that carry forward in the next budget cycle at $250,000. In my mind, I see a problem starting that we cut and slashed budgets 4 or 6 years ago as a body, and I want no part of that. So help us ease or expand my understanding of how that is or is not true.
Sure. So in the proposed budget for the next 2 fiscal years, there is some deficit spending in the general fund. It's not related to personnel items. It's we have certain things like the MOU with the Chamber of Commerce that's using the previous ARPA funds that we've received several years ago. So using those funds are now in the fund balance for the general fund. So if we're authorizing expenditure using those funds, it's going to come out of fund balance. And we have other one-time capital items that are causing that deficit. So it's not an ongoing deficit that we would see going forward because of the personnel items proposed.
Okay, then also, and for our discussion, I guess, Measure Q items are not depicted on this, even though technically they are general fund items. The city proactively is tracking those separately. I want that to be quite clear, so.
Correct. So we've created a separate fund for Measure Q. So in any of the budget documents we'll take, there'll be a separate Measure Q fund that's not part of general fund.
Right, and then the only other curiosity, I want to mention it because it keeps coming into my mind, is about the 4th from the bottom, there's a line item that says use of money. And it seems an odd title because all we're doing here is talking about use of money. So I understand that you stated it's interest income, and it's got to be somewhere and got to have some kind of title. That's just an odd one to me.
Our new budget software ties to our accounting software, and when someone set up that individual account, I don't know if that was a more standard term at the time or they were trying to be fancy, but they came up with use of money instead of just interest revenue.
Well, once you understand it's for interest, I guess it is the use of money that gave you the money, but it would make more sense to me if it said interest, right? So I don't know if other council members have, looking forward, the 160 and then $250,000, those are rough numbers, everyone, that if we were to carry this out another year, that would not be true?
No, there's one-time items that are causing that could be easily eliminated to reduce the deficit. And there's nothing planned in there that's our ongoing expenditures would cause us to have a deficit in subsequent future years.
Oh, I thought he was going to say something. Okay, so that makes me feel a little bit better, but there's no hard numbers to look at, correct? Any other council members have questions?
I just, same thing, Mr. Boring. Is 159,000, we are in a deficit on a general fund, right? And 25-26 is 248, and you just mentioned the region is not actually operational, it's just something one time, right? And did you might be telling me what's the one time?
Like I mentioned, the MOU with the
Because my just clarification, because we never want to see the budget going deficit for 2024, 2025, and 2025, 2026. But if you mention something, it's not actually the operational, but it's something one time, and it's actually not a downturn deficit. Because if after the way you explaining, it makes sense. But if we're looking at the report, I think nobody want to agree if we going downward, if deficit 2024, 2024, then again, it's almost double 240, 2025, and 2026. So just you said one time, can you might we have any idea, because in the report I can't, which one-time expense on 2025?
So like
2024,
57,000 would be the MOU with the chamber that's utilizing the previous ARPA funds that we had received.
That 57,000?
Correct, per fiscal year.
Okay.
I believe, I don't have the list of all of the capital projects, but I believe we have, one project is to come up with a plan for like improvements at the police department building. That's something that will come up with once every 10, 15 years. It's not, a recurring every time thing. There's also, replacement of some vehicles and other equipment that we're not going to have every fiscal year. Like when we go through the new requests, I believe there's like 3 marked police vehicles and 1 unmarked police vehicle. That's not an every year expense. And, if there were ever a downturn in the general fund, we could delay those or look at other funding options to purchase those vehicles.
Yeah, but I certainly on this agenda item, I'm agree whatever the staff asking, they need it. Whatever is unrepresented, they deserve to be getting that, whatever last time they was not. But I'm just a clarification, because I've actually not we're going to deficit, but this is just only a one time, but we will be okay. Right, that's what you're saying, right?
Correct. All of our ongoing
Clarification.
expenditures are supported with our annual revenues. So we're not building into a structural deficit into the budget. It's just, one-time extra things to get that when we have available fund balance to fund those items.
Thank you.
Matt, just maybe this will help clarify a little bit for them who are listening too. So overall, like I'm looking here for the proposed revenues, 87 million and change, and then the proposed expenditures is 81 million and change. So the surplus is 5.3 million. So overall, all our money, we're not actually deficit. You're just talking about the general fund piece of it. We're going into deficit because of those two things. So it's like, if I make, I'm just trying to break it into like, trying to dumb it down here for those of us in the room that, like myself, who are not an accountant or anything. So if I make $5,000 a month, I'm not approving, I'm not getting with my wife and saying, we're approving a budget of, a utility bill and a new car payment, so on and so forth, things that reoccur ongoing for years to come of $5,200 a month. This is simply, we're approving a budget that's like, say, $4,600 a month, leaving ourselves gap, but then there's like, we got to buy a washer that broke and we got to buy something over here. And
You had a roof repair or something that's
right.
hopefully going to last a long time. And we do have the schedule. We'll go over that in more detail. So overall, citywide, the city has an operational surplus every fiscal year. And although the general fund, we are proposing using some of the undesignated fund balance, the proposed ending fund balance at fiscal year 25-26 is still over 14 million for the general fund. So we still have a significant fund balance. We're not using a substantial portion of it. It's just, roughly 400,000 over the 2 fiscal years.
So I have a different question. I'm shifting. If anybody, my colleagues want to go back to that, they can, but it just, so just for transparency, I guess, and jump in here, Frank, if I say anything else we'll say, but for anybody that's wondering what the unrepresented professional confidential, the council, and a lot of times personnel is handled in closed session, which is what's normally done. There was an arrangement made with all the other employees for a certain, we'll just call it cost of living increases, that was going to span over a 3-year period. When that decision was made 2 years ago, this particular group of people was given the same agreement, but it was only going to go into effect for the 2 years, so it never met that 3rd year. So all we're really doing with this here is giving what was initially promised, we're giving that 3rd year. The reason it wasn't given was because we had just made a decision because of some budget things and the passage of Measure Q wasn't sure. We were unsure kind of the buzz, what the city's financial outlook.
I'll just say that there were financial concerns the council had when those items were approved in open session that went to it, and I think that the sense was to true it up and create parity among all of the units, represented and unrepresented, just to simply create parity, not to put one necessarily in line another, and that's what this would do.
Yeah, and our previous city manager left, so that didn't get visited, and so that's why we're coming to it now. So anyways, this is for the public I know there's some some numbers people in the audience that are wondering what this is about. So, and then another question, actually this is a question, not just a statement, but can you quickly, I'm going to start with Mr. Mort. Can you explain the technology director, which is, these are new positions. These are not reclassifications. These are new positions that were being asked for the budget. Technology director, break that down for me. Roles, just kind of a quick summary again.
Sir, yeah, hi. Yeah, so right now our IT department consists of myself as IT manager and 2 staff members. And we manage all technology needs for the entire city, including the police department, patrol units, cybersecurity. I've been here about 9 months now, and I would say our department is very overwhelmed with workload. As far as going forward, we have also in the budget an additional position that we're looking for. And I think that's very much needed. And I think this director position gives us a seat at the table, gives us more, a better relationship with all the department heads.
Okay, that's good enough.
Councilman Farmer, if I may add too, we had made the decision to create the IT department versus, the division. A lot of what Mr. Mort had already indicated. The important thing was, I think, to give it the importance that it deserves. Mr. Mort mentioned that, a seat at the table, required to be at the council meetings, sitting at our director meetings to help with what we have going on, and to elevate that group to the status, really, that it is already grown to in every other city, and that department is not going to get smaller. I mean, it's only increasing on a regular basis. And also what was stated is the workload that they have is just tremendous. So I think this will be an advantage to the city and certainly an advantage to that department.
Well, I would say that, sometimes we can sit up here and we can question whether or not a position may be needed or not. And sometimes, we're proven wrong. I think we've kind of already been proven wrong in the past. For those of us who remember the massive cyber attack we had, which really crippled the city in many aspects. I don't think having this as just a little subdivision of the finance department really is appropriate anymore. Mr. Solis, the Assistant Special Events Manager. So is it my understanding that, and I don't know her last name, I forget, but Genesis, who was working under Jackie Garcia, they're in charge of the market, and they're also running special events like the Saturday Market and all the other things. Saturday Market's just one of them. There's a lot of things, special events that you guys do in Parks and Rec. Genesis now works with Amy Mendez and has shifted over into that department to help with that. And to me, it's kind of created a little bit of a gap. I know we ran into an incident today where I feel like a full-time special event person would have been helpful instead of having somebody be pulled different directions and having some things slip through the cracks. Is that correct on that position?
There's a little more to that. By the way, I still have not forgiven Amy for taking Genesis from the Parks and Rec department. But, with the Galt market as one of our priorities, we need to keep our manager, Jackie Garcia, focused on that. That is the let's say, division that she needs to keep both eyes on. With that said, we need somebody, we've established several events, so 3 festivals, our Warner Bird Festival, our IDC, and our Lighting of the Night events. Along with that, we've incorporated the Saturday Market, plus we have concerts in the park, plays in the parks. We also establish and take care of all the special events, applications that come in through the city, private and through our sponsorship program. And then, 10 years ago, we probably could have done it with some part-time people, but now we're having to do so much on social media to put out our events, not just at the market, but along with the Saturday Market and everything else to monitor that. So that's what this person would do. They would handle all of those special events that I mentioned.
Okay, thank you. And then one last question. This is for Mr. Griffin. I'll try to keep this short and I'll let my colleagues go. Within the Public Works Department, there is a request for equipment mechanic supervisor, an electrical technician, and a couple other, I forget the exact titles, but I just don't have it right in front of me. In your opinion, and this is just me speaking, if I was to say I was comfortable with giving Public Works two of those positions, would you have any idea of which two you think you would be most critical to have at this moment, or would you need some time to consult with staff or something? Do you have any thoughts, John?
I would do a lot of hand waving. I would act like I'm shot in line. All seriousness, I have talked to the team, and what we would recommend is the equipment maintenance supervisor. I'm sorry, the electrical position and the street maintenance supervisor position.
Okay. The street maintenance supervisor, the other I don't need to know. Street maintenance supervisor, just give me a quick summary of duties for something like that.
So what we have right now is, in our streets maintenance crew, we have a team of 11 with one streets maintenance supervisor. That the request is to add a second street maintenance supervisor position, as well as 2 additional street maintenance public workers. One of the reasons we would recommend going with the second street maintenance supervisor is it presents the opportunities for the street maintenance workers for promotions. It gives them incentive to stay here and pursue a career advancement. It also allows some more mentoring. Right now, with only just one person overseeing another 10, and that person's a working supervisor, doesn't get as much opportunity as they would like to do some mentoring and training of staff. So this would allow us to be better and more proactive in those areas.
Okay. Thank you for that input. That's all I have at the moment, Mayor.
Thank you. Myself, a quick clarification, John, just for your position, how many positions you are requesting total in this budget?
A total of 4.
4 positions, okay. And one is you mentioned something, street maintenance supervisor. You said you have 11 employees and you have 1 supervisor.
Correct.
So you like a 2 supervisor on 11 employees, so you want to be a 5 employee with 1 supervisor and other 5 employee with other supervisor. 2 supervisor on the 11 employees, that's why you asking?
Correct. Yes. I mean, what I'd prefer, obviously, is the 2 additional maintenance staff as well, but recognizing that's going to be down the road. Step 1, and talking to the team, it's a consensus that that second supervisor position is the best suited for our current needs.
Okay. So that's mean if you have 2 supervisors and you thinking you're going to get the better service, what service we providing as a public work to the public, right?
Yes, we would give better service, and it allows, again, more opportunities for promotion and advancement of the existing street maintenance crew.
Yeah, no, I do understand the promotion, but I believe myself, I was looking if I can improve any position, we were looking for this public money and better service for the public, what we're doing right now.
Yes, that would occur. And again, that
And
position would be that supervisor currently is a working staff person, and that person would be out in the field full-time as well.
And the same thing with the electrical position. How many positions you have electrical this time?
0. This would be creating our first full-time electrical technician in our utilities division.
So who is doing the electrical job? They don't have the license?
We hire a lot of contractors
On the outside?
and programmers on the outside, and this would actually help us be more proactive. Anytime there's emergencies, we're waiting on contractors and their availability. Sometimes that's 2 or 3 days. So this allows us to be more proactive, and a lot of the infrastructure that we're seeing is becoming more and more automated. All of our pump stations, treatment plants, well sites, they're all electrical. And this is a need that we have to make sure we're proactive, and it is actually a cost savings.
And I would also say, just since we're on the topic, as a longtime maintenance electrician myself, and it goes with mechanic and whatever, you're much more efficient when you're familiar with the facility you're working on. We just hired a new person, and they struggle to catch up when I walk up to a piece of equipment and just start pointing at things that I already know halfway know the problem. So it's those kind of things are very important. They're very cost savings.
All right, thank you, and that's it at this time. Mr. Vice Mayor, and
No, and prior to the meeting, I only had one question. This, I think, is the third time that this item has come to us, at least in terms of the unrepresented. But I was happy to hear that we worked with the GPSU on the new positions and how that would roll out. And so my concern is always to make sure that our folks that are going to be doing the work and representing the people doing the work are involved in that process. And so I would feel comfortable, and I don't want to jump the gun, so Councilmember Vandenberg, if you'd like to make a motion, but I would support the entire staff recommendation.
I would like to, before we make a motion, I would like any public comment on this agenda item.
No public comment.
Thank you. Now I'm looking for the motion to approve F8. Second by the mayor.
I'd like to get clarification before I understand what the motion. So when you mean approve as is, what positions are we talking about everything?
Item F8, the
all of
entire recommendation.
So that's the,
Lactation.
I want to clarify that this is approving the salary schedules and the classifications, but no new positions. So the new position requests are part of the budget, and this is just approving job classifications and the salary schedules.
okay. So the positions that I was just asking about, those will be in the budget discussion next. Okay, thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Vice Mayor Lozano?
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer?
Aye.
Councilmember Vandenberg?
Aye.
Mayor Sandu?
Aye. Motion passes by 4-0. Thank you. All right, next agenda item is G, schedule matter notice of public hearing. Subject, public hearing to adopt the fiscal year 2024, 2025 and 2025-2026 biannual budget. Approved by fiscal year 2024-2025 master fee schedule, the capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2024-2025 through 2028-2029, and revise FY 2023-2024, 2024-2025, and appropriation limit. Mr. Boring.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. First, I want to point out you got 2 additional papers today. When we created the agenda packet for the master fee schedule, there was a table of contents and a table that showed the CPI that was used in the schedule was inadvertently omitted from that. So you got handouts of that, and those will be added to the website, so those are available for everyone else in the future. And before I get started, I wanted to thank our finance staff. This has been an extra difficult budget cycle because we had some issues with our software, so they had to do a lot of stuff manually and grumpily and late into the night. So our revenue and budget manager and our budget analyst did a great job getting all that together, and all the other departments too, because we need input from them, and it's a lot of work for everybody. So I'm really appreciative for everyone that helped get this going started. And so tonight's agenda item, we have the 24-25, 25-26 budget, approving the 24-25 master fee schedule, the capital improvement plan for 24-25 through 28-29. And so in the capital improvement schedule or plan, the projects that have expenditures in fiscal years 24-25 and 25-26 are included in the budget. and the remaining 3 years are just for future planning, so an idea of what's going to be included in budget cycles for those years. And then we have a revision to the 23-24 appropriations limit. There was just a typo in the resolution for the last fiscal year, and then our 24-25 appropriations limit. The presentation tonight is very similar to what we went over at the study session at the last meeting, so I'll try and go through it quickly and not bore you with numbers again, even though it's easy to do. So for the general fund contribution to the Parks and Recreation Fund, I made it a picture instead of a formula this time, so PowerPoint would like it. We have the 15.4 million general fund base that we went over with the policy adoption, the 6% contribution percentage, and that creates a 928,000 general fund contribution. And so we wanted to show we have the 928,000 contribution, and then as through the budget process, the policy was adopted late in the budget process, and so we'd already had requests for Parks and Recreation for expenditures that exceeded that, and there was available excess general fund capacity. So the budget includes an additional 613,000 contribution in 24-25 and 648,000 in 25-26. And so these are separate. So we have the contribution policy, so the 928,000 will automatically be transferred as part of the policy, and the remaining 600,000 per year would only be transferred if needed, if the Parks and Recreation Fund expenditures exceeded the general fund contribution policy, their own revenues, and then the Measure Q contribution. So the total contribution from the general fund to the Parks and Recreation Fund included in the proposed budget is 1.5 million each fiscal year. And we had some requests for some different Measure Q information from the last meeting, so we updated this slide a little bit to really break out fiscal year 24. So in the original budget that had Measure Q, so that would have been the 23-24 midterm budget that council approved in May of 2023. We had estimated 4.2 million in Measure Q revenue, and council approved almost 2.7 million in Measure Q expenditures. And then we get to the revised budget. So we've increased our revenue estimate to 4.58 million. And then through additional appropriations and carryovers that have been approved by council throughout the year, the total need for Measure Q funds is now a little over 4 million for fiscal year 24. And then moving on to 25 and 26, our revenue projections continue to increase, and we're planning to utilize all of the revenues. So the increase in fiscal year 25 from 24 is an additional 600,000. And in 26, the increase over our baseline, which is the fiscal year 24 revised budget, is 727,000. And if you have any questions, please let me know as we go along and we can go over instead of trying to backtrack. And then we also received some requests to look at the funds that receive Measure Q funds. So starting with the Parks and Recreation Fund. If I look at the correct note. So the average contribution over the proposed budget cycle is roughly $2.69 million, and that's going to be at the bottom of the left-hand table there. And that makes up roughly 30% of the Parks and Recreation Fund total revenues. And in the Northeastern Lighting and Landscape District, Fund 32, the average contribution is roughly $1.27 million over the proposed budget years, and that makes up about 73% of the revenue in that particular fund.
Matt, could you go back real quick on the Parks and Rec Fund? You said there was an average, and I didn't write it down because I was looking for it.
Sure, the average is 2.69 million.
Okay, thank you.
And that's over fiscal year 24, 25, and 25, 26.
Matt, I have a question real quick before you change slides too. If I'm reading it correctly, on the left side, under Fund 06, it says that the market revenue, says the proposed budget is 2.65 for 25 and the same for 26. That FY 24 revised budget, does that mean revised by there was a forecasted number and then that's the actual number that it actually came in was the 2.55?
That's our current budget for the current fiscal year. And at this point, we've had budget revisions, so I could do some research to see if that's changed since we originally adopted.
It just looks like you're anticipating a $100,000 increase next year and the year after that. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
And that's probably, obviously, you wouldn't do that unless that was based on a trend that you're seeing or something.
That's from input we get from the Parks and Recreation Department.
I just find it interesting, since, a few years ago we were projecting we were going to fall off a cliff, but it seems things have.
I know at least the last.
At least it leveled off.
They've been doing a good job of keeping the market full.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Matt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then for the West Side Lighting and Landscape District Fund 33, the average contribution from Measure Q is $395,000 per year, and that's about 69.4% of revenue for that fund. And our really creative fund, Lighting and Landscape District number 3, the average contribution from Measure Q is $325,000 per year, which is about 69.7% of that fund. And our Measure R fund slide didn't have any changes. We have $1.93 million in fund balance at the end of fiscal year 22-23. Our 23-24 budget has planned deficit spending, and our estimated fund balance at the end of the current fiscal year will be $994,000. And we're continuing the planned deficit spending just to draw down the fund balance in the proposed budget. And so at the end of fiscal year 25-26, we have a planned fund balance of $679,000. And when we get through doing the next 2-year budget cycle, if we're getting close to that, then we'll revise our policy of continued deficit spending, because we don't want to draw it down to zero. We want to keep some reserves in there. But we were getting close to $2 million, so if we achieve our target of spending the money, which I know the police chief tries to do every year, we'll look at having a balanced budget in Measure R going forward. So this slide has fund projections, and we broke the table into 2 sections to try and get it on the PowerPoint slide big enough for everyone to read. And like we talked about earlier, on the general fund, you'll see there's a deficit in the 24-25 and 25-26 fiscal years. And those are for the items that are the expenditures are hitting within this budget cycle, but we've received revenue in prior years or other one-time capital items. So none of our ongoing costs or personnel costs are causing that deficit.
So Matt, Mr. Boring, sorry, I've been a bad habit of that today. I like how you broke it down in colors. One of my favorite things to do in Excel. Makes it easier to pocket things in my brain. So on the first line item, light blue, 14,500,000, and then on the tan or orange, whatever, the last column is 14,400, and then the very last one in pink is 14,500. That is, clarify what that is and why it's there. So that's our, I can't think of the word right now, but.
Sure, so so we start with the 14.5. That's our total fund balance for the general fund. And for this chart, we've adjusted it, so we've pulled the Measure Q out, so that's only general fund. So that's our economic reserve.
That's the word.
We have a few other mandated reserves, and then we have our undesignated fund balance. And so the money that would be used to fill those deficits would be part of the undesignated fund balance that's available for any general fund purpose.
So that's the word I was looking for, the reserve. And our previous conversation, you said that, on the phone, we would kind of pull in and out of that as a budget moves along through the year. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. So, and I wanted to highlight that for the public. I seem to be getting some feedback. So that helps mitigate some of my concerns that I brought up earlier. And what is the minimum percentage that we are required to have at all times, I guess, or best of our ability?
Our economic reserve policy is 25% of the general fund expenditures and the Parks and Recreation Fund expenditures.
And this 14.5 represents what, is it right at that point?
No, I'd have to look at our last financial statements, but I know our reserve for economic uncertainty is probably in the 7 to 9 million range. Because I know we had several million.
So we're well over that.
Correct. So this wouldn't be touching any of the reserve for economic uncertainty. This is just additional reserves that are in the general fund.
Right. And I just wanted to highlight that as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I just want to reiterate, so if you're comparing this to our last financial statements, the general fund had closer to 17 million fund balance. We pulled out all of the Measure Q funds. So when we go to the next slide, you'll see that Measure Q has beginning fund balance, and that'll be the amounts that we received in fiscal year 23, and then the net proceeds of fiscal year 24's transactions. And then if you notice, there are some other funds that have an annual deficit. Most of those are our utility funds, like the stormwater, water, and wastewater funds. And our firing range has a deficit in fiscal year 25-26. And those are standard, especially for the utility funds. Part of the rates that we collect fund future capital projects. So as the equipment needs to be replaced, it's not something that we go and everyone needs to pay more this fiscal year because we have equipment that comes out of the reserves for those funds. And the firing range is just one-time capital projects. And we typically have an annual surplus to fund those projects until we identify them and have sufficient funds to pay for them. And my favorite fund on the slide is Fund 23 because it just looks awful. You will notice it has like negative beginning fund balance or projected fund balance in fiscal year 24 and throughout, and that's a debt service fund. So that's the loans we got to install the water meters throughout the city. And so that's typical for that type of fund. It's just signifying that we have an outstanding liability that's more than the assets within the fund. I have to calm myself down every time I look at it because it's like, that's just bad. We can't have that. Okay, so the next slide's the other half of that schedule. And this one also has the Sacramento Transportation Authority Fund 29 and the Measure R Fund have planned deficits, and that's, we Measure R, we have additional capital to try and bring down the fund balance. And the Sacramento Transportation Authority Fund is another one of those that's, capital projects, so that's typical for that, especially sometimes there's a disconnect between when we receive revenue for certain projects and when the expenditures happen. And this slide wanted to be special too, so we have our successor agency fund, which is Fund 90 towards the bottom, and it also has, a negative beginning balance in fiscal year 24 and then throughout. And that's also for debt service related to the successor agency. So those were bonds that were taken out by that agency. And that's just showing, we have ongoing liabilities for those until they're repaid. Okay, and then moving on to new requests. So we have the Council Public Benefit Funds that we discussed in the agenda item earlier. So that's $5,000 per fiscal year. Election costs for the upcoming elections next fiscal year. IT consolidation. And I'll point out we put it in here because it's a big change, but it's not a new request. We just moved all of the IT costs that we used to sort of estimate their usage and direct charge, and it was administratively very difficult. And so we moved those all into IT, so it's a lot easier for IT to manage and track those costs and make sure other departments don't spend their money. And then we recover those costs from other funds through the cost allocation plan.
And that's why you need a director.
So before those were tracked under finance, is that?
So those
under the finance department, they were grouped in with that?
No, they were grouped in. So each individual department would have it, and they'd be in many different funds.
Oh, gotcha.
So like just for example, our contract for our phone system that we use, I think there's 20 different line items in that purchase order that are a pain to track and get approved. So this just moves it all under IT, and then we have a different mechanism for allocating those costs out. And then we have an IT contingency, so that's $50,000. That's just for if any of our equipment or some other IT emergency needs, they have some contingency that they can respond quickly with. Other new requests in general fund, we have the PD mobile computer replacement, and that's $100,000 in fiscal year 24-25. I was asked to create a more accurate description. It's a police technology upgrade for $120,000 in both fiscal years. And we also have new police vehicles. That's $330,000 in fiscal year 25-26. And that's 3 marked vehicles and 1 unmarked vehicle.
Matt, could you clarify, police or chief or whoever is more knowledgeable on this, police technology upgrade? Like, just give us an idea what that is.
I think Tino was messing with me. We had that listed as Axon initially, and so a piece of that is Axon Taser 10 upgrades. They have a new platform for the Taser use. I'll be bringing that to you on July 16th. The 2 other pieces with Axon we envisioned, we are pivoting off of those, and I'm bringing those also on July 16th. Specifically, that Star Chase is a platform for a GPS dart placed on vehicles during pursuits, so we can disengage on some vehicle pursuits. And a Peregrine product, that's the name of the company, for data mining of all our platforms when we have things like commercial burglaries and flock camera information and RIMS data that we're trying to get all collated in one location. So I'll be talking to you about that also on July 16th if this goes through tonight. So those are the pieces of technology that help my staff better either do their work or more safely do their work.
That IT needs to manage.
No, our goal is to put everything in the cloud and nothing touches the server. So, right? That's the orders? Yes, Director, yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we have the MSC building HVAC and floor repairs for $551,000, and we got some more details. So $393,000 is to address the HVAC issues. There's $121,000 for flooring and $37,000 for other repairs on the building. And then we just wanted to call out the unfunded pension liability, and that's just the general fund's share. So every year we get the CalPERS actuarial reports. They like to make people say really long words.
Can you clarify MSC for the public, please?
It's the Municipal Services Center. So that's the building that houses Public Works and the Planning and Building Community Development.
Could you clarify HVAC? I'm just joking.
Okay, and then new requests for the Parks and Recreation Fund. So there's some carts, and there's 3 new carts at $15,000 each, so that's $45,000. There's new vehicles, and so the amounts for the vehicles and the mowers those are allocated between the Parks and Recreation Fund and the Lighting and Landscape District Fund. So this is just the Parks and Recreation Fund portion of those costs. So there's, I believe it's a new truck in each fiscal year. So $58,800 in 24-25 for the vehicle and $29,400 in 25-26. And then the Parks and Recreation Fund for the new mowers is $25,200 each fiscal year. Replace the floor scrubber for, I believe it's primarily used at the Littleton Center, is $25,000, and tables and chairs for Littleton Center is $20,000.
What do we, I guess I could probably get into this a little more, but Mr. Solis, what do we do with the old tables and chairs if we replace them?
They have not been replaced as they've broken down. The chairs we currently have were donated to us from CDCR as they found them old and not useful. So
Well, because last time I was at Littleton, the tables and chairs are not, I'm not saying they're like the best, but they're not, I've seen worse. I'm just curious, they're not like junk, we don't just toss them, right?
No, we will keep them till they are no longer safe to use.
Okay.
Some of the table, they are hard to close.
They're hard to
Yeah.
close, they're chipped.
Last,
Yes, we'll have to surplus everything according to our policy.
If we buy all, is this going to replace the 20,000? Is it going to replace all of that?
Yes, it'll replace the tables and chairs. We've gotten input from our nonprofits that primarily use the facility on what type of tables and chairs they'd like, and we have a list of what they've said.
Okay. I would suggest surplusing as soon as possible.
yeah.
Okay, and then these are more new requests for the Parks and Recreation Fund. So there's a traffic control truck for $65,000 in fiscal year 25-26. Portable basketball hoops for $19,000 in 24-25. Aquatic center equipment replacement. And there's a few other real minor things we left out. We just put the major bulk items there in the details, but there's replacing the block stands for $45,000, lifeguard chairs for $21,000, and a pool barrier for $5,000. And flatbed carts for the market, and I believe that's 2 flatbed carts, and it's $40,000. And shade structure and market equipment, we got some more details for that too. So it's replacing the compactor. I believe it's the trash compactor is $50,000, $8,000 for a shade structure, and a little over $5,700 for a Connex storage box. New requests in the water fund. There's a new truck for $70,000. Replace the other truck VACCON equipment. So the VACCON is split between the water fund and wastewater fund. So the water fund's portion is $228,000, and replacement of other vehicles that they have is $125,000 in the water fund. And in the wastewater fund, there's the dump truck, VACCON, and other equipment backhoe. So the VACCON, the wastewater portion is $442,000. The dump truck is $77,000 for their share, and the backhoe is $33,000.
Some time back, didn't we spend roughly $500,000 on a vac truck? These are separate, different,
Correct.
independent, additional?
The city previously used ARPA funds to replace a VACCON, which I believe, talking to Mike before, it wasn't a VACCON, it was just a vacuum. It didn't do, we have a separate VACCON.
Different style of vehicle? Okay.
So this is replacing a different vehicle, not the new one that we used ARPA funds.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
I asked that very question last week.
Okay.
I was prepared for that one.
So the backhoe cost seems actually, I'm looking at all these and you're like, wow, seems like a lot, but the backhoe 33,000 seems light to me.
That's probably just that fund's share, and so.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't called out in the water fund. There could have been other equipment in the baseline budget that we didn't need to replace, so that absorbed the other part of that. And then going through, so capital improvement citywide, so we have $250,000 projects in 24-25, and part of that is the citywide locks, so joining the 21st century and getting rid of some of our physical keys, and a master plan update. And for the wastewater fund, there's an impact fee study, and the portion hitting that fund is $150,000. And everyone's favorite.
Can somebody explain master plan 250? What's that plan?
Yeah, that's essentially bringing back the market master plan.
So that's a 250,000 we're gonna,
That's just
for the preparation, for the consultant. Okay.
Okay, and then moving on to our hot topic of new positions. In the general fund, for new positions, we have an IT analyst and the assistant special events manager. And then in reclassifications, there's the assistant clerk administrator, the IT director, senior building inspector, the executive assistant, mechanical supervisor, and in red I put the senior construction inspector. That was included in the budget, but I put too much information and that got omitted from the bottom of the slide last time, so I wanted to clarify that was different from the last presentation, but the budget has already been included, so it didn't cause an increase. And then new requests for other funds in the Parks and Recreation and Lighting Landscape District funds. There's the Administrative Analyst 1 reclassification and a new administrative assistant. And the new administrative assistant full-time position is offset by reducing part-time hours. And then in the Streets and Utility funds, there's the Streets Maintenance Supervisor, the Public Works Maintenance Worker 1 positions, and the Electrical Technician. And then we have a list of the new capital projects that hasn't changed from the last meeting. So I can go through those if you have any questions about the capital projects. And we didn't have a slide for it, but I just wanted to give some information on the appropriations limit. So we're restating or proposing a restatement of the fiscal year 23-24 appropriations limit to $153,735 or $735,989. We just had a small typo in the resolution last year, so the methods to calculate it didn't change. And the 24-25 limit is in excess of $184 million. And that's just something we're required to calculate and have you approve per the state constitution. And our actual revenue we receive that's subject to the limit is significantly below the limit, so there's no other actions we have to take or any mitigation efforts we need. We just have to approve those. And then I just want to touch on the master fee schedule. We didn't add any new fees this year. It was just updates to existing fees. And we're happy to answer any questions or go over any of the slides if you had other questions.
Matt, what's the bridge over UPRR tracks? What is that?
Do you want me to handle that one, Matt? So that is, at Cedar Flat subdivision on the east side of the tracks, and then there's Roundstone Park on the south side, there's an existing trail gap. And so that would be part of our contribution for a future grant-funded project to construct, to complete that trail project, complete that trail. A UP does not allow at-grade crossings for PEDs anymore. So if we wanted to complete that trail gap, that would require a new pedestrian bridge structure. It would be similar to what you have at Elk Grove and 99 between Elk Grove Boulevard and Laguna. They have something very similar. It's the same idea, but instead of it going over the 99, it's going to go over the railroad tracks.
That's walking bridge, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, you said UP doesn't allow it anymore?
No, UP does not allow any new at-grade crossings. So, for example, what's out on Carillion is an existing crossing.
Right.
But if we wanted to improve, because we want to improve the crossing, we can't have an improved at-grade crossing over the railroad tracks.
I'm just amazed, and I don't mean to derail here, but a private company that is regulated by the federal government can tell us how to do business. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on a related note, we submitted yesterday a grant application for that entire project.
Perfect.
And the Walnut Avenue improvements? That's not the overpass. Is that something associated with the overpass?
The Walnut Avenue improvements is a grant funded project that is programmed in future years. We awarded the design back in February, I believe.
Oh.
So that's the grant funding for the construction phase.
Okay.
And that's already been approved by SACOG.
I think, John, before we have a more discussion with my colleagues, I would like to open the public hearing. Any public commentary now on this agenda item?
Harry Wenzel.
G1.
Evening, Council, you guys and me. First off, I'd like to say Matt Boring has done a great job on this. It's not an easy project. And so I guess my first take on this, because it's a pretty big document. And in the first proposal on the 4th, it talked about basically, in my mind, ongoing versus, it happens variably. And I don't know, Chris, if that was yours or, where that was. But I think part of the confusion for the public and maybe for everybody is that you have like, okay, this is my salary, and then next year I'm going to do a special project for somebody like a consulting job. So you see this variability. And so I'm not so sure if there isn't a way, presentation and allocation are two big problems that you always have. But if there isn't some way to take a look at that and say, okay, how do we make it more clear that, let's take like sales tax or property tax, it's predictable, it's pretty steady. How do we make that more clear in the presentation? And then allocation is always a problem, so I can't solve that. I guess another question I have is a curiosity. How are we doing with the budget book? How did the budget book work out to create this 241-page document?
I know staff had a more difficult time. We had some software issues this year, so it wasn't as seamless as last fiscal year. They had to do a lot of the manual tables.
So it's something, it's like all technology. It's always a work in progress. But the idea is that you can do it quicker, you can do it more accurately, and put your brain power to thinking about presentation or allocation or whatever else.
I'll just remind the speaker to address your comments to the city council.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So, and thank you, Mr. Farmer, you brought up what is use of funds, or whoever brought that up? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. That was one of my questions that I had. Just a clarification on that. I think another problem area in terms of understanding the document is transfers. It happens in the ACFR and it happens in the budget. So I'd like to see somewhere where it almost looks like a transfer is an expense, and a transfer in as a revenue. But it's really just a transfer in between funds, right? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? But I mean, we've got a lot of them all over the place. Okay. And then the definition of intergovernmental, that shows up as like a revenue, I guess. I asked that question of Mr. Hines about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago. And
Mr. Boring, would you clarify that?
Sure. Usually when we use the intergovernmental revenue, it's revenue that we receive from other governments. So it could be from the state or the county or potentially like SACOG, so other government entities.
so there again is the presentation problem, where you have, it's a one-time thing, or it's going to happen every year, but sometimes it's streets, sometimes it's something else. On the master fee schedule, something that ties into that is there's always a gap between when we put in new subdivisions, are we really paying for sewer, are we really paying for water? It's a pretty complex deal. And so on the master fee schedule, I would like to see something where you take these subdivisions going in and you say, this is what, the impact fee here, impact fee there, so that you can get it more visual. You could say, well, they got 3 different kinds of houses. This one is going to bring this much to impact fee. This one's going to bring this much. It's kind of like if you were going to build your own house and you looked at the impact fees. That's just an idea where you try and connect the dot between the fee schedule and then what we're doing in terms of capital in that. And then I'll just close out here. It's a big document. Thank you again. And I guess the things that always confuse me are we're gonna buy blocks, starting blocks for 45,000, and then we're gonna buy a compactor for 50,000. And it's like it defies logic in some way. I mean, they're not mechanical, but a compactor is it's a big piece of equipment. So those kinds of things, I think, I just want to bring them up to the council. Those are the kinds of things that, when you see those differences, they're worth looking at.
Thank you, Mr. Wenzel.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Chris Brossman.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity again to speak. I too looked at the deficit, and I don't like seeing a deficit number, whether it be 159 or 259. I understand it's a true-up, and I know this budget's pretty much a done deal. But in my opinion, we should never show a deficit number. That if we need to move money from somewhere else type deal, or cut something else out for the 159, bring it down to $1. If we ever do look at bonds, I'm not sure how they evaluate it, but I know I would look at a negative cash flow situation and go, wait a minute, that's not a positive. Last council meeting, it was brought up that in tonight's budget is the firing range. We're going to spend $400,000 on improving a firing range. Now, agreed our PD goes out there, but not very much versus what the state prisons system uses that. Yet, our revenue from the state prison, I think the last time I looked at it, was going to take us 30 years to get our money back from the state prison for dropping that $400,000 into it. Now, to me, the prison system should be picking up that $400,000. It shouldn't be the citizens of Galt picking up that $400,000 for the improvement. Now, if you want to let me go out and shoot out there, and every other citizen in the city, I might agree to the $400,000. Just touch base with the well tonight, since the well people are gone from out of city. She brought up that it's going to cost them $10 an acre foot, or it's currently costing them $10 an acre foot. Well, I'm just doing rough numbers, and I think I'm paying $435 an acre foot as hooked up to the Galt water supply. We have a government mandate that's telling us that we have to put in X amount of houses. Guys, we're going to have to drill. We're going to have to put it down. I agree it's nice to be nice to your neighbors, and I think that's what came out of tonight's meeting was let's be nice to them. But City of Galt needs to go to 15,000 feet or 1,500 feet. We need to guarantee that we're going to have water. And whether we do it today or whether we do it as the water level continues to drop, so be it. But in my mind, that's money well spent. But I did find the acre foot. Now, personally, I like wells, and I hate the government charging me anything for being where I'm pumping my own water. But I also grew up in Arizona where we had meters on our wells, and we were regulated. I too looked at the numbers that came up, and obviously there's a lot of numbers that jump out on it tonight, but one of the things that came up on Parks and Rec, which I'm in love with, is mowers at $25,000 to get 2 mowers. Well, I'm going to tell you an electric mower, which our great state has mandated, is probably going to cost them $25,000 per one, and then it's going to need battery packs to back it up. So by the time you get done with one mower, and I sell to a lot of landscaping companies, and I can tell you that number is probably going to turn into 35,000 guys per mower to meet the government electric bullcrap. Floor scrubbers at 25,000. I sell floor scrubbers. I guess I should sell them to the city because I don't sell them for $25K. And they're pretty nice scrubbers. Portable basketball hoops jumped out at me too. One, I know my neighbors can't leave them on the street. So I don't know where the city of Galt's leaving portable basketball hoops, but I know none of my kids ever played with a portable basketball hoop in the city. So I don't know where we're buying $19,000 worth of portable basket hoops, but call it at $1,900 a piece. I think that's 100 portable basketball hoops, so that's a lot. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chris Brosman. Thank you. Tina, anybody else?
No more comments.
Anybody else in the public for make a public comments? If it's not, then I would like to close the public hearing, bring it back to the council, this agenda item. Any council member want to discuss?
I do, and I think that part of our job, at least in my mind, is we have two real jobs. One is to oversee the budget and the expenditures in the city and ensure taxpayer money's spent appropriately. The other is to manage the city manager. And so I take this very seriously. Every year we do it. And I brought up some questions in a last meeting about the additional contribution. I think it was on slide 4 or slide 3. Of about 1.2 million a year above the contribution policy that we just created. And I want to say I thank the city manager and finance director for taking an enormous amount of time with me to kind of try to wrap my head around it. So, Matt, can you explain, and I heard what you said, if they don't need it, we'll return it to the general fund in each fiscal year. What kinds of things, I mean, these aren't round numbers, these are pretty specific. What in 24-25 would be the additional contribution? What would that go to?
Sure. Tina, can you move the slides back? My clicker's not working. Thank you. So part of it came because we approved the general fund contribution policy towards the end of the budget cycle. And so with the status quo budget, we'd already put in, the previous general fund contribution amounts. So when we determine what that is, we don't say general fund's going to pay for, this dollar or that dollar. We take, here's the total revenue submitted or requested from the Parks and Recreation Department for their particular fund. And then we apply the various revenue sources. So like we have the general fund contribution policy, so we'll have the $928,000 that's going to automatically transfer from the general fund to Parks and Recreation. We'll have the revenue that the Parks and Recreation Fund generates, so it's the net proceeds from the Galt market and the other fees and revenue sources they have, and then we'll have the Measure Q contribution, which I believe that's in this slide. So in, say, fiscal year 25, Measure Q is going to contribute $2.6 million. And then once we applied all of those different revenue streams, we identified there was still a gap between revenue and the requested expenditures for that fund. And that's where those additional general fund contribution comes from, because we can use general fund to close that gap. And so the difference, like the $920,000 is automatically going to be transferred. And then when we do our year-end cleanup transactions, then we'll look at, actual revenue applied to the Parks and Recreation Fund and their actual expenditures. And once we've exhausted all the other revenue streams, like the contribution policy amount, their own revenue, Measure Q, then if there's still a deficit, then general fund will pick up that remaining amount. So we don't identify like specific line items in the budget when we're doing that. If we wanted to close that, then we would have to look at all of the expenditures in the Parks and Recreation Fund and work with the department to identify items that they would cut to balance without that additional general fund contribution.
Okay, I went through on the staff report, I went through the page that says proposed revenue schedule. And I pulled out for 24-25 the '06 revenue. I also pulled out the lighting landscape district revenue, which pays for park maintenance, a portion of park maintenance. And then also Measure Q. Now, I know that the L&L, some of that pays for streetscapes, which hasn't traditionally been in Parks and Recreation, so I just use that number, but I recognize that it's probably a little lower. And in 24-25, we're going to be contributing through all the tax funds, whether it be Measure Q or any other general fund, $15.5 million. And in 25-26, $17.5 million about. And my issue wasn't that I don't think Parks and Recreation needs to be funded. My issue was 2 weeks or a meeting before the last meeting, we approved the contribution limit. Not limit, the percentage of the general fund contribution. And that there would be times from year to year that it would have to go up, and potentially when we get our feet under us, it'll go down. And so I just want to point that out. I don't have any, just for your knowledge, I don't have any, I don't anticipate voting no on the budget. We have to pay our bills in July. But I think that moving forward, I just want everyone to recognize that that is, had I known, I would have been an advocate for a lower initial general fund contribution. But it's almost like, oh, well, you know, the council deliberated, we came up with 6%, which was almost $1 million, which was, in some people's minds, wasn't enough. But, and I get that. But then 2 weeks later, we're hit with, oh, by the way, we need another 600 and something thousand, 613,000 for 1 year, and then 650,000 for the next. And so I would just ask, and I've talked to you and the city manager about this, that as we move forward, that we are deliberate about what we're doing and that we're doing public-facing items along the way. Because there are constituents out there who would say, and I think our Parks and Recreation program is doing a great job with what we've given them over the years. But there are constituents out there that would say, hey, we started paying Measure Q in April of '23, and here we are over a year later, and we've seen minimal improvement in terms of upgrades and things like that. I would argue that our landscaping looks much better than it did 2 years ago. And I would argue that the pickleball courts and that tennis court is a definite, use has been increased by what we did. And I think it's good allocation of taxpayer money. I would just say that and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, but any opportunities that we can get, and I see in the capital improvement we're getting there for market improvements, in terms of revenue moving forward. You know, I think the Parks Master Plan is going to really be beneficial to making decisions based on what the community needs. But just be deliberate about, in every department, I just bring up Parks and Rec because of that additional contribution piece, but real deliberate about what we're giving the citizens and what the citizens expect, I guess. And so I just say that to say, I think we have a lot of work to do in many departments in this respect, but we're all working as hard as we can too, right? So just as we move forward, that we understand that that's kind of at least one council member's perspective, and And so I think by doing that, we'll be able to more solidly say, you know what, this is what we've done, or this is what we're going to do in whatever department it is. I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah, and I'll add one other reason it was difficult because we approved the general fund contribution policy really late in our budget cycle. So probably by the beginning of April, we had most of our budget numbers solidified. So when we start our next budget cycle, we'll have that contribution policy ahead of time so we can calculate that and include that. And when we're evaluating, you know, comparing revenues and expenditures, we'll identify that there's already a significant gap above what the contribution policy is once we recalculate that for the next fiscal year. But when we approve that, I believe it was the early May meeting, we approved the contribution policy. If we had incorporated that in the budget and not had additional contribution at that time, it would be drastic cuts to what the department had planned in the budget and had been.
Well, the
at
ups,
that point.
yeah, and I get that. Timing is everything, right? But I would say that the citizens approved $4.6 million in supplementary funding to Parks and Recreation for 24-25, and I just think that as we move forward, delivery on that's going to be important because of the expectations of the community. And I will say, because I said it back when we were discussing putting Measure Q on the ballot, it would have been nice to have a little piece of that for other public safety that we don't cover with Measure R. But that wasn't the will of the council, and so now whatever the will of the council is, we need to make sure we move forward on. That's all I have.
Mr. Boring is the, I'm going to piggyback whatever he, you know, I think we all understand what his mean is, because that's the 928,000 and this is additional. That's why we feel this is a comfort zone. We can allocate that much additional to Park and Recs, or that I believe his mean is Vice Mayor Lozano, there's 613 additional. We maybe use somewhere else, maybe more important, because in Parks and Recs we already have the enough money from the Measure Q, and then also 6% we. So I'm just same thing asking why the reason we be an additional only going on this department.
Yeah, and part of that was just the timing, because we didn't have that 900,000 until we were pretty much finished with our budget cycle. So at that point, we had used status quo, so we had used the, you know, continued the prior year general fund amount, which in, you know, prior years, the actual amount would probably be like the 928, because most years we don't actually realize all of our planned expenditures. But now that we have that contribution policy, when we start building the next budget cycle, we'll have that as a revenue source ahead of time. And so when we're balancing revenues and expenditures, it'll be a known number we have, and then it's not sort of an unknown.
So that means next cycle it should be clean them up and it will be clear, right?
Yeah, it's up to, you know, the city manager at the time what he presents, if there's additional items that he wants to approve. But going forward, the baseline would be, you know, we calculate the revenue that the Parks and Recreation Department's going to contribute on their own, and then we'll calculate whatever the contribution policy is, and then balance their expenditures using that and Measure Q.
Thank you.
I just have one quick thing. I don't know, it's kind of dragging on, but to kind of address what was brought up in public comment and then in a general stance, can we go to the slides where fund project slides where it has all the items? So specifically, one of them has the second one has a firing range on it.
Is this one you're talking about? Okay.
All those are good. So just in a general concept, the first column is all the money we start with in all those funds, correct?
That's our estimated fund balance for the current fiscal year.
Right. And then we estimate, we actually spend what's left over, and then what's in the fund balance, right?
Correct.
And then the same cycle happens over. So as was brought up with the firing range, they started out with 500,000, and the purpose of doing that is that you're not constantly transferring money back and forth and this and that, which makes a much more complex budget for everybody involved. Understanding it, how to track it, everything is far more difficult if you don't have these funds in their own balances tracking for themselves. Ideally, everybody would do that, and you try to have transfers as little as possible, right? I mean, that's my understanding. Am I correct?
Yeah, we limit the transfer. So each fund is, technically its own entity.
Right,
So
right. So I just,
revenue the firing range stays there.
so that's exactly the point. And so this is why we have the funds there. It's there for the purpose of maintenance and improvements, and every fund is that way. I just kind of want to state that for the public, that
Correct.
so all of these funds would do the exact same job. We have said funds, we know we're going to need improvements or wish list items as we go through the many years of a city's function. We spend that money in those funds, hopefully without transfers, and those funds hopefully cover themselves, and we just move along for budgetary reasons and for my understanding, for a lot of it, and the public's understanding as well, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I just want to state that as a general principle.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to thank Rich for his comments earlier, very important. I agree 100% with all that, with the forward-facing stuff with Measure Q. And he mentioned something that kind of made me think of one of my questions I want to ask. So a lot of what we're seeing here is round numbers, right? Like, let's just use the floor scrubber since Mr. Brossman brought that up. By the way, thank you for the entertainment, Mr. Brossman. Love your little comical spin. So floor scrubber, 25,000. I mean, obviously the floor scrubber we're looking at is not $25,000 exactly. I mean, that's probably what you're budgeting. We may end up buying a floor scrubber and it could be 19,000. If that was the case, then that money would just go back in the fund. I mean, some of these numbers could be over projected, right?
Correct. Those are the estimates we get from departments looking at, different models or
Okay.
projections.
So some of them could be way up, some of them could be light. I mean, we don't know, right?
Yeah.
We don't know until we actually buy. So they're just round numbers. So I'll get back to the point I want to make on that. I don't want to touch on the basketball hoop thing. I was going to bring that up, but I have more important questions. The firing range, that's a great question. But what I'm seeing here, and I was trying to wrap my head around what Mr. Brosman said. So we collect roughly $300,000 and change a year from the contract we have for the firing range, right?
Correct.
I'm looking at the expenditures we spend. It's like $355. So we basically net like 10 grand. So we don't lose money on it. We just make barely. It's basically kind of just as a wash, right?
Yeah, and that's having planned projects because the annual operating cost for the firing range is much less.
Okay. So I just want to, because he said something, and I was like, what? So we're not actually, we don't have is there a capital expense that we're going to do a bunch of improvements that's going to cost us 400 grand?
Yes.
Okay. So then wouldn't we recoup that money in 1 year, in a year and a half?
Yeah, so we have we're projecting $340,000 a year in rent revenue for the firing range. And so as that accumulates, we do the capital project. So it's not the city footing the bill for these items. We're getting the rent revenue.
Right, from CDCR, right. Okay. So I'm going to jump on to, tell me about the CPI page here, Matt. You say this fee schedule is based on the CPI page. This is the part of the meeting that I call fun with acronyms. So we got BCI and CCI. I know what CPI is, but explain for me BCI and CCI. This is just a different thing we're using? What is that? There's a table on the little handout.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those are. I think those are some of the other fees that we get from our building specific. Use those acronyms. And I know that's a table we use, but I'm not familiar with those individual acronyms are.
So
CPI means cost of construction index. It's like a CPI for
right. Well, they're all different. Like this one's 7%. It goes 11. It's just they're all over. What I'm trying to understand is, you said the fee schedule is based on a CPI, the current CPI index, right? So can you just tell me, without looking at this whole page, what is the CPI number that we're using?
So for some of the items in the fee schedule are adjusted by CPI.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the top, the There's the
3.1?
assumptions, the CPI increase is 3.1%.
Okay. So it leads me to my next question. So, and I usually, and I apologize in advance that I didn't talk with Mr. Solis about this. I could have, but I didn't really dive into the fee schedule until late in the day today. But I know I kind of picked this apart last time, but it's just kind of perusing over, and I'm not going to go on each item. I just want to touch on a few ones. So what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing a lot of things that there's no increase. And I mean, I'm assuming those would be things where it's like, well, we feel like we're just kind of at the top of the market. Like, for example, the flea market or the Galt market. Yeah, I don't see any increases on space rental. It's pretty much consistent. So I'm assuming that we've determined that we feel like we're right in the sweet spot and that we shouldn't do any increases. Is that fair to say on that?
Yeah, we're still one of the higher end
Okay.
prices for space rental.
Okay. So, and then there's some other ones where we're not really doing much. But some of them I'm seeing, and this is where I'm really struggling, we're seeing some huge increases. And the one that really jumps out at me, and this is really near and dear to my heart, is T-ball and softball registration going from $75 to $100. That's a 33% increase. We have youth basketball, 26% increases. We have, there's some other that are huge, like, you know, a tournament, somebody wants to rent the baseball field, it's going from $325 to $400. That's a 23% increase. But, you know, I mean, if you're going to run a tournament, I mean, that's kind of a big thing. So, I mean, some of these are huge. Some of them are, one of them's 8%, but they're all, there's a lot of them that are way more than 3. But these ones that are really high, like the 26% for the youth sports and the 33, you know, when I look at that, and I understand that if I was to ask the question why, you would say, well, there's a cost in doing business with those, and maybe we don't feel like we charge enough compared to what the going rate is out there and all that. And I'm sure there's going to be lots of reasons you could give me. I'm not really looking for a reason because I could guess that's what you're going to say. What I'm thinking here is, though, what I struggle with is that we'll throw a round number out here for a floor scrubber, for example, and we can say, well, you know, we're probably not going to spend 25 grand. We maybe only spend 15 grand. And that money would just go back. But if we approve this fee schedule tonight, it's going to cost little Johnny to play T-ball. It's going to cost him $100 now and not $75. And these kids, as you know, Mr. Sleeve, these kids that in the community, some of these kids, it's a struggle for them to come up with $75. I remember when it was $50 and I was fighting for it not to be $55. I remember those conversations. And you know, some families have more than one kid. And it'll come down to, well, you're not going to be able to play sports this year because we just can't afford $150 for 2 kids. Now it's going to be $200. I struggle with seeing all these blanket huge numbers, and I think a lot of these numbers are inflated, and I understand why. They're not really the actual numbers. But these fee schedules are hard numbers that we're going to be approving tonight. I struggle with approving any of the increases for all these youth sports because I think they're staggering increases. And so for me, I would like to see what my fellow council members think about these, because in the grand scheme of things, these little increases are not going to mean a lot to the city, but to these families who want to play rec ball and t-ball, these are huge jumps.
Can I, Councilman Farmer,
Yes,
just make a
please.
quick comment on that? Like, my own, you know, experience is anecdotal. So having paid, you know, Little League and basketball fees in Elk Grove 10 to 15 years ago was double those figures. So what we know now is we're not near cost recovery anywhere close for any of the recreation programs we give. And I don't think we have any intent to get to cost recovery, but we have to start trying to close the gap somewhat to help pay. Now, if it's the council's wishes to provide you know, a lower fee for residents, that's the council's purview. You can do that. But we, at some point, will have to get closer to cost recovery for recreation programs like other cities.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I mean, like, you know, like I mentioned the tournament earlier. I mean, there's a fee on there for somebody to rent Walker Park, and it's, you know, went from $1,500 to $2,000. But, you know, for a commercial organization to rent Walker Park, I don't have a problem with it going up 30%. That's a group together. They get together. They do, or even a pool rental. So you can rent the entire aquatic center for up to 50 people for $155. That's not going up, so that's staying the same. But if you were to increase that and it was allocated across 50 people, that would make sense. But these are like individual children, and I understand that we're not up there. I think the optics here is we tax the public with Measure Q to make Parks and Rec better, and then we come over here and then we raise the fees for these kids to play sports. I just don't like it. I just don't think in the grand scheme it's necessary. but that's just me. So I just want to bring that up. And then my last question is, hang on just a second, Mr. Mayor. Actually, that might have been it. That's all I have for the moment. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
No, I would also like to make a comment, piggyback Councilmember Farmer. Is cost-wise, I don't think so we're getting. There's no way, but look at the other hand, most of kids is local, most of the citizen in this town. And we recently approved 1% sale tax for parks and recreation. And I also like to have some kind of thing, the council agree to these kids, they want to play. And some of the parents, they do have that problem, then they increase if there are 2 kids going, they now afford, and I feel bad about that. This is also quality of life. And if the council, something we can do to increasing, because I don't know how much altogether, Armando might we know how much altogether, if we're keeping some of the same cost, how much we're gaining. And if we can use from Measure Q that amount and keep at least a year from the same amount.
We could get you that number. I don't have that off.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to throw one other idea here. This might sound like a crazy idea, but one of at one point, passing Measure Q was a crazy idea, but we did it. But I'm thinking in the future, I don't know what point, would it be phenomenal that Measure Q is bringing in, someday $9-10 million a year, which is realistic. At some point it will. That we could say, you know what, we were so successful with doing this extra fee that's on our sales tax to make Parks and Rec better, that if you are a certain income level in the city of Galt and you want to play rec sports, it's free. You can play rec sports for free in the city of Galt if you're a citizen, whatever. That's not a crazy idea. I think that's a realistic goal at some point in the future, maybe 10, 20 years from now, but I think it's real. But we're not going to, and I know that's not today, but I'm just saying that I just love to hear about things like that happen and be able to do some things like we're able to keep fees steady because we have measured, So I would love to see that number to really how much do we bring in from those particular sports? What would it, if we kept those fees static, what are we really foregoing? How much money are we losing by doing that? I would like to know. So what I would suggest, I don't know if the council's okay with this, is this piece of it, if we leave that out until you can get back to us with that number, and then we can decide to approve those fee increases or leave them static. But I don't want to hold up the whole budget for that, but I would really like to, and this is just me, council may think different, but.
If you do get consensus, I'd like to know, does that include all of our programs?
Yeah, exactly.
Or just the sports programs?
You're hit the nail on the head, because if you give player A a cut, player B, C, D, E, and F, everyone's going to expect the same thing. And then if you have to prove player's income or parents' income, they're going to be hesitant to give that information. I don't know the legal complications of giving that information. People will be complaining about what point you start or stop that. I really would not be a fan of getting into that can of worms in any way, shape, or form. And I do think that if you're going to, it's a nice idea, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to suggest that you would have to think of it across the board at $12 or $25 across the board, and then that'll add up quickly. There's a lot of people playing sports, correct?
Yes.
Well, just to clarify, though, I'm not suggesting look at people's income and say no fee. I was just talking about a future idea. All I'm talking about here is that we keep the fees for the youth sports, and there's only a couple on here. We're talking youth t-ball and softball, and we're talking youth basketball. That's all that's on here. I'm not talking about the adult teams or any of this rental of the fields or any of this stuff. I'm talking about those 2 specific items right there that encompass Galt youth basketball and t-ball softball. That's it.
The wishes of staff would prefer that you identify those, we keep them static, and then pass as is. And then.
Yeah, because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Armando. There's nothing else on here that's an individual fee.
We have Camp SOAR, which is our summer camp. We also have special interest classes.
Okay, well, let's look at Camp SOAR. So it went from 160 to 165. $5. That doesn't seem unreasonable. But to go from 75 to, I mean, we're talking 33%, and these are huge jumps on those other ones. These other ones are not huge jumps. They're $5, $2. They're very small increments. Those are just a huge jumps. That's why they jumped out at me in the first place.
Camp SOAR has always been a full recovery program. That's one of our few programs that we do recover nearly 100% of our
So
costs.
toddlers for swim lessons, teens, adults, those didn't change at all. Those are all same swim team. None of these numbers went up. None of those numbers went up. So I'm not seeing any increases like that except for on those sports teams. And that's the only reason I brought it up. Because then I know, by coaching those kids for years, it was like, I bump into a grocery store, Mrs. So-and-so, hey, how come, Lindsay didn't play softball this year? It just got her and her sister, it's $65 now instead of $50. We honestly just can't afford it. I'm working 2 jobs. I mean, these are not rec ball, travel ball parents. Those people can afford to do that. This is like the bare bones people that are just trying to get their kids in sports, and I'm trying to keep it affordable.
And then the other individual programs are our special interest classes like karate, ballet, gymnastics, things like that. So those are paid directly to the contractor. The contractor sets their own price.
Okay.
We will charge anywhere between 0 to 15%. 25%.
Those are not on here, though.
No, they're not. But those are things that you need to consider. But we can bring back those the costs of what it would cost to increase the price.
And like I said, I'm just asking for those. And maybe you bring it back and you're like, yeah, if we just keep them static and we don't raise it, based on our attendance or participation last year, we're going to lose $150,000. Then we'd be like, oh, and then the council's like, no, we have to. But maybe you come back and you're like, it's $15,000. Then it's a different conversation, right, at that point, because that's a minuscule amount. It's like half a floor scrubber.
The biggest cost to all of our programs is staffing, and as you can tell by minimum wage, that's our biggest cost.
I understand. Anyways, I might be in the...
Will that affect any sports before it comes back?
It should not. Basketball would be our next sport, and that we take registrations in October.
I have a quick question, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have a program, either city internal or something that we provide scholarships to kids that can't afford to play or be involved in parks and recreation?
Yes, we have a scholarship program that provides $100 per year for any programs, and then it resets annually.
And how do you determine who gets a scholarship? Is it based on the school registration?
Income.
Okay.
And they provide us their income information to make that determination.
Okay.
How many people take advantage of that?
Maybe 10 to 15.
And how much they get $100?
They can get $100, so we've had some people spread that out over a couple of different classes or one program by itself.
So about 10 to 15 people take advantage of it across the sports, the youth sports.
Yeah. Well, not sports, programs. Okay. So they can use that for Camp SOAR, they can use that for chess.
But overall, you have about 10 to 15 people that actually go through the process and get the scholarship.
Yeah. But I can bring that exact number back for the last year.
So I have a little bit more of an interest based on a previous item that was voted on. So you said not sports, so if I am low income and can prove it, and I want my child to play, I don't know, whatever, softball or t-ball, I can't use that scholarship program for that?
You can.
Can?
You can use it for any program that we have.
Okay. And you said 10 to 15? You
10 to 15 is a rough guess.
Okay. Thank you.
It could be in the hundreds?
The scholarship? Yeah. No, it is not in the hundreds.
If everybody that was eligible, theoretically, it could be in the hundreds. I'm kind of...
Yes, I mean, there is no, we don't set a limit per year. We have, that fund is supplied through donations. Our biggest, the city does not contribute to that fund. Our biggest contributor in the past was the Cherokee Truck Show that they had here annually. Now our instructor for Zumba, She has a program every October, and she donates money into that program.
I just have one last question. I apologize, but this has been bouncing around in my mind for a while. And maybe this is for the city attorney. Can the city contribute to that?
For the scholarships? Yeah, it could be a general fund. Could be a general fund contribution as long as you're not using restricted funds for it, and as long as you can communicate and a cognizable public community benefit, which I think you probably can.
Okay, thank you.
Just approved could be used for that too.
My fear is, though, that what we're probably already seeing is that we probably have an exponentially larger amount of people that could qualify, but they're like, and it goes back to what Councilman Vandenberg said a minute ago, some people are not going to be comfortable with showing their income. Maybe it's a pride thing, they don't want to, and so you're going to have very little people take advantage of that. And so some parents would just rather just not have their kids play sports than go through and prove their income and all this stuff, get a scholarship. And I imagine that's happening right now, probably on a large scale. So that's my struggle with that.
All right, so is consensus you're going to bring back in the next meeting, see what we can do?
But the preference was, again, that you approve, the item you have before you, but freeze, the fees that you prefer, so that we don't have to bring the item back. We could talk about the impact of the other items, and then if there's a desire, we can, raise them at that time.
So I can make a motion just to throw it out there, and then we can decide if someone wants to tweak that motion or whatever. So my motion would be to approve the budget as presented this evening, with the exception of pulling out the youth sports till we get the numbers on that. So on that part, that specific spot of the fee schedule. And then secondly, my motion would only be to actually approve the two positions that I asked Mr. Griffith about earlier, the electrician and the maintenance, but not the two workers at this time. That's my motion that I'm making.
Council Member Farmer, can you, I'm not clear your motion. So you approving the item number G1, right? And then you including your comment on that? Or?
With the exception of the two parks.
F8 already passed.
No, but the positions the salary study was approved and they were funded, but the positions were not.
It's correct.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So those two, I don't want to.
Maintenance workers, when there already is a salary, they were not included in the item because the positions already exist. We were just adding to them. So we're just, if it's the wishes of the council, those two positions, the maintenance worker 1 positions, will not be added to the budget.
Right, so that's what I'm proposing. So I'm okay with all the other positions that were requested, the electrician, the maintenance street supervisor, the other positions that were discussed that are in here as the new, and the entire master fee schedule and everything else in the budget with the exception of the youth sports until we get a number back. That's my whatever. And my council members, you could offer to tweak that or whatever.
Well, I don't want to jump. Let's see if there's a second on that, but I do want to try to clarify that first. So,
well, what do you need to clarify? I thought you just did clarify.
What I want to make clear is, because the fee schedule, obviously, there's a lot of other fees on it. It's the master fee schedule for the city. Mm-hmm. And so I want to make clear that we're approving the fee schedule tonight but we're going to basically direct staff to approve a fee schedule that has the youth sports programs
specifically on the document
frozen.
Provided.
Yes, so that way they can move forward with a fee schedule for approval tonight. So building, planning, everyone else has their fees.
Yep.
And then they can come back with a discussion on potentially increasing those youth sports fees later. So essentially just an amendment to the document. So approve it tonight with that amendment, and then what I also heard was approve the budget overall and all the documents as presented but not funding those two maintenance worker positions.
That is my motion, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Oh, I will do the second on that.
Discussion.
So Madam Clerk may have,
Move to discussion. Is
Yeah.
that what you said?
I'd like to at least discuss it.
Yeah.
yeah, go,
I
go,
would too. Go ahead, sir.
yeah, go.
So I personally didn't see a problem with the positions that were requested. I know that it sounds like there was a conversation with the interim director of Public Works about what positions if they had to pick some, they picked them. My review of all of this saw a need for the positions requested, and so I don't want to hold the budget up for 2 positions, but on the other hand, I think it's important that if we are expecting a level of service from them, and the staff here has never been, at least in my perspective, in a position where they're going to ask for positions that they are just going to be nice to have. And so some would argue that point, but I don't know that I could support only approving the 2 without some additional conversation about the rationalization of removing the 2 positions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I basically had the same. I basically had the same concern. So, which ones would stay and which ones would go? Can we reiterate those, please?
Well, the Public Works was asking for 4 positions, 2 maintenance workers, a maintenance supervisor, and then an electrician. So, an attempt to try to be prudent on, spending some of the restricted funds that we have there. I think it was suggested that we try to earmark, which 2 would be the preference. And I appreciate the effort that Public Works went to evaluate that, because I think the supervisor position, if we were able to get that, can help evaluate the need for the 2 additional positions that we could come back with at some other point in the future, and provide some accountability in the field. So I really think that's important. I have no doubt that we do have the need for the 2 other maintenance positions, but considering the newness of some of the personnel in the department, I can support, taking more of a wait and see how we can work with the new supervisor, electrician, and see how we can make that operate. And if we can make that operate, great, but if we come back with the request, mid-year, next budget, we would do that.
So that would have been a great, point to make prior to a motion being made, quite honestly. And secondly, my question that just pops up into my mind is why the Public Works positions and not any of the other, and are there those opportunities in those other areas, I guess?
Well, to answer, because it was my motion, I'll try to elaborate a little more. So overall, the reason that I look at these a little more specifically is because this is not something in the budget like buying, a backhoe or something else. Those are one-time expenditures. They are in the budget and we are spending that money, but these are structural things. Once we approve these positions, we grow that department. It's unlikely we're going to go back and remove those positions. I mean, these, unless we got in dramatic monetary problems, we're not going to go back and cut those. So once they're approved, they're pretty much in there, and it's really hard to undo these things. The second part of your question is why Public Works. I'm not, and it might seem this way, I'm not picking on Public Works, but it's just that, we get once in a while, we come along and, the chief came to us and advocated for a captain's position. They explained why they needed it, whatever. It was one position, and we approved it. Once in a while, we get another department come along, hey, we really need this one position. Like Parks came and asked for, I think it was forget what it was a while back, and we said, okay, one position. We looked at it, we thought, okay, we believe it's necessary. But here we are, and it's just like, it's like the Christmas list, Rondo's got one. We got talking about new stuff only. IT's got one. These make a lot of sense. Public Works is asking for a handful, and I'm not picking on them, but I just, just to be diligent with taxpayer money, it'd be easy for me to say, we'll give you the 2 now, let's kind of visit how that works out, and if we find that we're still shorthanded and we need the other 2, we can always add the other 2. We can't go backwards, but we can always go forward. That's my mindset on it.
Councilman Lozano, I would, sorry to jump in, you're about to talk. I would say it is probably the scale, and then turnover. So other departments and other requests weren't, the number, and then also the turnover in the department just gives us an opportunity to kind of review.
Yeah, and I'm not one to rubber stamp something, right?
Yeah.
But I think that it's important that we have that conversation publicly so that we know that what we're doing. I can appreciate if Public Works says, yeah, let's try the first 2 out and see how that works. I'm good with that. But just the process in which we come up with these types of decisions, and quite honestly, I was part of this council and have been part of boards for many years that have frozen positions and cut positions out of the budget, and it can be done. I just think if it's coming from the staff that, hey, we can handle it until we get there, I'm good with that. And so if Mr. Rice, if that's what you're saying is appropriate, or they can do that, I'm good with that. I just don't want to get in a position where we ask somebody to do a job and they don't believe they can get it done because we're holding back staff or anything like that. And quite honestly, I think there's been a need in Public Works to staff up. And so if I could support that if our staff is willing to do it.
I appreciate that, Councilman Lozano, and understood about process, and my apologies for not circling back with you.
And I also like to make a comment. That's not mean public worker does not need this position. I think we have the opportunity, because it's already in the budget, we have the opportunity to bring it back. Because there is a 5 position or 4 position they are asking. If we give them a 2, and maybe next meeting, whenever all the council will feel they can bring them back. And that's my reason why if that position we make a decision today, it will never come back, I never will support that. And that's the way I'm supporting that. But we have the opportunity, look at and bring it back. And I know I'm not in the favor to increase the government, but when we need it, yes, well, we needed to bring the positions. Go ahead.
I second
Councilman.
Mr. Farmer's motion.
It was already seconded, wasn't it?
Yeah, I have.
Was it the mayor that seconded it? Yeah.
So, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice Mayor Lozano?
Aye.
Councilmember Farmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Vandenberg?
Yes.
Mayor Sandu?
Yes, motion passes by 4-0. Thank you. Next agenda item is regular calendar.
Nothing.
Communication,
Just reminding everyone, there's no July 2nd meeting.
thank you. City clerk's report,
Nothing.
thank you. Comments by staff.
Parks and Rec Director Solis.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just wanted to remind you of some events that are coming up. So on the 4th of July, we have our IDC event, starting with our Taun Memorial 5K Run, our IDC Parade with an alternate route this year, the special Saturday Market on July 4th, excuse me. We'll have music at Veterans Field at night, fireworks in the pool, and then fireworks to follow, all on the 4th of July, Thursday. Thank you.
Interim Community Development Director Mendez.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Briefly, just wanted to let everybody know that the community calendar application on our website has been launched, and we've been advertising that. So if you go to the homepage on our website, there is a button on the front page that says community events, and you can click on that and it'll take you to the community calendar. So that includes all of the city events, and it also includes events that are being hosted in the community by local nonprofits that are available for community members to participate in. So there's guidelines up. Individual organizations can submit through a quick application, and then we review it to make sure it meets the guidelines, and then we'll put it up on the calendar for everybody to see. The other is, several meetings ago, there was a discussion about potentially looking at alternatives for signage in front of City Hall. And so right now we have some banners set up for nonprofits that are hosting events, sports leagues that utilize the space, and there were some concerns that it's not the most attractive way to advertise. And so we've been doing some research on determining whether there's a good location out there to put in a reader board of types. And so we've been working with engineering, and we've got some potential locations we've identified. We're also looking at potential designs, and so hopefully we'll have some more to report on that in the next couple of weeks. But I just wanted to let you know that hasn't been forgotten. The initial location that we had identified actually is encumbered with lots of utilities, and so we had to look at some alternative areas. In front of the Todd Memorial is probably going to be the location that we can do it. So we will report back once we have some more information on that. But that's it for this evening.
Chief Kalinowski.
Thank you. I have two items for the council. On Thursday, July 11th, since we won't be back with you before then, at 9 o'clock in the morning, we'll have our ceremonial swearing-in ceremony at the police department out front. We'll be swearing in our 3 recent sworn officers, 1 dispatcher that starts on the 1st, and then recognizing the 2 promotions to sergeants that we did, that are effective actually yesterday and then July 1st. Again, that's Thursday, July 11th at 9 a.m. And then a little further out, we have National Night Out, Tuesday, August 6th at 6 p.m. And so we'll be reaching out to council regarding rides to the locations, a similar format that you've been a part of in the past. And so we look forward to seeing everybody on that day. That's all I have for you.
And then finally, Council, I would like to thank Matt for, that tremendous effort on the budget. I know that was a lot of work. I just thank you and your staff. You did a great job. Thank the directors, and certainly thank their council for all their hard work on the budget. I know that wasn't easy, but we appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you. The next agenda item is comments by City Council member, regular agenda item, Vice Mayor Lozano.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Thank you to the public who came and spoke tonight. I think it's important, as the mayor says frequently, that public input is important in our decision-making, and certainly when it's dealing with our finances and our budget moving forward. And so I want to thank the public that came tonight to speak. The other thing is I want to thank staff for all of the work that's gone into it. And it's not just always just sitting behind a computer. It's meeting with me for a couple hours and I'm sure the rest of the council to some degree, if we're doing it the right way, right? And so I think that it's important that we thank the staff. And I also want to thank all of the employees for all the work they do, and the work that we have been able to do to help support our employees moving forward is, I think, going to be an important step to retaining high-quality employees in the city, and certainly enticing folks to come. So thank you for all of that. Look forward to seeing everybody at the IDC events, and just want to make mention, and I don't want to leave my comments on a sad note, but we are going to. Today, Giants legend and Hall of Famer Willie Mays passed away this afternoon, so I know that's an interest to many, and so I thought I'd pass that on.
Thank you. Council Member Farmer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, what time did you say the swearing in was on the 11th? I didn't catch that.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Okay, thank you.
We learned from last year when it's hot, we go early. So
Yeah.
sorry about that.
I just want to thank you, Matt, for the budget presentation. I appreciate all the department heads answering our questions, and hopefully you guys aren't going to go home tonight with too many bumps and bruises from us. Apologize. I want to thank, as Mr. Lozano did, Mr. Brossman, Mr. Wenzel, and anybody else who made public comment tonight. We really appreciate it. As I kind of stated earlier, we have a lot of people in the community that will ridicule what the city spends money on or this or that. But when it comes time to actually have the input, we literally have I can count on one hand how many people will come up here and actually give their input. And it's unfortunate, but I appreciate it. I want to thank the staff, specifically everybody. I don't want to name specifics. I don't know who all was involved, but I know Amy Mendez was involved to a certain extent. Chris, of course, Armando, your crews, possibly some other departments, and our code enforcement for the Rite Aid property. Finally getting that kind of looking better and stuff. It's been noticed and people have been talking about it. So I just want to thank you guys for being proactive, and thank you, Chris, for taking the field trip out there and looking at that stuff and getting it done. Other than that, I think that's it. Just look forward to the IDC. It's my favorite time of year. Parks has a big handful, but I'm sure they'll do a good job as they usually do. So I think that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bannerman.
I agree with what my fellow council members said, and please extend our thank you to all the staff members that aren't here for all their hard work and all the different departments to bring this book to us to run over today. We do appreciate it. Thanks to all the public comment as well. It does make a difference. It's one of the only times that you can speak to anyone and everyone and they can't walk away or hide or not read the text. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Council Member. Myself, thank you for the staff, especially Mr. Boring. I know you're working from last 2-3 months. Thank you for all other staff. They involved in the budget, and I give congratulations to my colleagues and staff. We passed the budget tonight, and I know sometimes we have to compromise. Thank you for John Griffin. Thank you, City Manager. You're a compromise. And I also like to thank you for the public comment. That's very important. Same thing, Chris, Brossman, and everybody make a public comment. Thank you for everybody coming to this meeting. And this last 2 weeks, I don't join any events, but 4th of July agenda is posted on all City of Galt social media pages. We hope to see you, everyone out and enjoying. Thank you to the Parks and Recreation Department getting scheduled and put together. And tonight I also would like to invite the public and especially kids come out for military vehicles close in person day before the parade. They will be at Best Western Hotel. And that evening, July 3rd, stop by to say hi to the Eagle Field Foundation, enjoy some food and drinks, and thank you for everybody be doing a good job. Thank you. If nobody have no comments, I would like to adjourn that meeting 9:19. Thank you. Adjourn the meeting.